This is Retro Sports Radio. Visit RetroSeasons.com for more sports history.
The Baltimore Orioles faced the Los Angeles Dodgers at Dodger Stadium for Game 2 of the 1966 World Series on October 6th. The Orioles lead the best-of-7 series 1-0, and this is the NBC national broadcast of Game 2, featuring announcers Bob Prince and Chuck Thompson.
And welcome to Dodger Stadium. Along with Chuck Thompson, this is Bob Prince saying Game 2 is coming in from Los Angeles in the 1966 World Series. Brought to you by
Chrysler Corporation, makers of Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, Imperial, and Dodge trucks. By Gillette Techmatic, many weeks of continuous shaving. By Winston. Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should. And by Carling Black Label. Why not enjoy one right now?
This broadcast is authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Commissioner of Baseball solely for the entertainment of our listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the description and the accounts of this game without the express consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Another brilliant, sunshiny day here in Los Angeles, California, and an anticipated sellout throng that will go up very close to the mark of 55,941 that sat in on yesterday's game and saw, of course, Baltimore take a 1-0 edge in the series, winning the game 5-2. But it's a horse of a different color, as they say, because Mr. Sandy Koufax is the man the Dodgers sent out there today. And, of course, he has, without any question, an awful lot of things going for him. Mainly like a left arm, 27 season victories. He doesn't frighten. He knows what it is to be in a World Series. He knows what it is to be a clutch performer. And it'll be interesting to see how he'll handle Baltimore, or they him, this afternoon. Chuck Thompson, the voice of the Baltimore Orioles, here to my left, will be doing the play-by-play with us. And Chuck, I suppose, like many, you've had your ideas about how the game yesterday could have gone. I think most observers are generally agreed that in the second inning, following Lefebvre's home run with Baltimore ahead, Harker gets the double, Gilliam the walk, Roseboro makes the valiant try for extra bases, and young Snyder takes it away from him, which, of course, if the catch is not made, the Dodgers are right back in the game, and they're kind of a game at that time.
Exactly, Bob, and good afternoon. And in talking about the second game of the 1966 World Series, Bob, I think I am more anxious to see this World Series game than any World Series game I have ever been associated with in the past. The simple reason being that, believe it or not, Bob, I am seeing Sandy Koufax in person this afternoon for the very first time in my life in competition. I have seen this great left-hander in spring training when he, well, let's face it, would just lob the ball to loosen up a little bit. I have seen him on television, but this afternoon I look at him in person. A man who has been just unbelievably great in National League competition, who has a 4-2 World Series record. If he wins today, Bob, he'll tie the record for the most series wins by a National League pitcher, shared by Jack Coombs, Mordecai Brown, and Christy Mathewson. He also has 18 and 2/3 scoreless innings, a streak of 18 and 2/3 scoreless innings in series play. Now, the record is by an American League left-hander, Whitey Ford, who hung up a series streak of 33 and 2/3 innings. Against the seemingly invincible Sandy Koufax, Baltimore this afternoon will bring out a young man who was born in New York City, who was raised in Los Angeles, and educated in Scottsdale, Arizona, a young man by the name of Jim Palmer. I would not begin to compare Palmer and Koufax. The only information we can give you on Jim Palmer is this, that if this young man this afternoon is able to throw strikes, we are in for one of the most interesting pitching battles in recent series history. There can be no doubt about the fact that Jim Palmer is the hardest throwing pitcher on the Orioles staff. He has a fine fastball, a good curveball, and if he does get in trouble, it is always the same thing, control. So, Bob, if he can throw strikes this afternoon, the battle between Jim Palmer and Sandy Koufax might have people talking for a long time.
very possible and might be here for quite a while with nothing but zeros up on that board because Mr. Koufax knows what it is to get one run and then cling tenaciously to it. And one thing that all great pitchers do, and Koufax is certainly in that category, not only great, he perhaps is a superstar. If he gets in front of you, about the fourth or fifth inning, then you're going to see more of Koufax than you saw before because he just keeps bearing down, and bearing down. It'll be quite interesting, too, to see how Koufax will pitch to Kurt Blefary and to Boog Powell. He seems to somehow or other have an aversion to throw his breaking stuff to left-hand batters. And comes with his overhand fastball in those situations. At least he did this past season in the National League. But I think, of course, the psychological advantage must now rest surely with the Baltimore Ball Club, knowing the worst that can happen, they can go home even in the series and 3 at home, whereas the Dodgers before, like last year, and Harry Walker pointed this out to all of us with Jim Simpson on his show, that last year when the Dodgers lost the first 2, they lost to Minnesota, came home to play 3. If they're to lose this game here this afternoon, then go to the Birch Park in Baltimore for 3 over there, it will make quite a difference.
It certainly could make all the difference in the world. And speaking of the spark and the help that the victory gave the Orioles yesterday, after it was all over and after it settled down, it was not a rather uproarious clubhouse. I think a lot of the Baltimore newsmen and people who have been with this club all year expected perhaps that there might be a good deal more excitement in the clubhouse yesterday afternoon. Such was not the case. And I guess manager Hank Bauer summed it up best of all when he said that's just one game. And that's the way you have to play this series, one game at a time. Sandy Koufax this afternoon for the Orioles presents a tremendous challenge. It will be, as you pointed out, Bob Prince, very interesting to see how he works to Powell and Blefary. It will also be very interesting to see how he works to Frank Robinson and to Brooks Robinson. Now, we asked Brooks Robinson how he fared against Sandy Koufax, and he said, well, about like most of them do, I guess, Chuck. I've had hits off him the last 2 times I faced him in all-star games. I said, well, you're trying to tell me, like, you get a hit a year. Is that it? He said, that's about the way it goes. And Koufax, when inquired about how he works out against Frank Robinson, said, sometimes yes, and sometimes no.
Yes, and as is the case, there's always a great quote that comes out of World Series times, and I think Frank Robinson's quote in today's paper was a dandy. A reporter asked him how he hit against Koufax, and Robinson said, right-handed.
Well, Bob, in the background, they can hear the public address announcer introducing the starting lineup for the Baltimore Orioles, and I guess that'd be a good idea if we get to it right now. It changes today, and Koufax always changes ball games. Leading off will be Aparicio at shortstop. Batting number 2, the left-handed swinging left fielder, Kurt Blefary. Batting 3 will be the right fielder, Frank Robinson, whose 2-run home run in the first inning yesterday really sparked the Orioles and took a tremendous amount of pressure off some of the Oriole youngsters and first-year men. Frank will be followed by Brooks Robinson at third base. Then batting in the number 5 spot will be the left-hand swinging Boog Powell, Baltimore first baseman. One of the happiest men in the American League these days will bat right behind Powell, a youngster who in his first World Series game had 2 base hits yesterday, Baltimore's second baseman, Davy Johnson. The bottom 3 in the Baltimore order will be center fielder, right-hand batting Paul Blair, and we'll tell you a little bit more about Paul as the game progresses. Batting 8 will be Andy Etchebarren, rookie Baltimore catcher who conducted himself in an outstanding fashion yesterday, a native of California, and the introduction on pitcher Jim Palmer. And Bob, I'm not so sure of the significance of this, but Jim Palmer is warming out in the bullpen. Sandy Koufax is warming in front of his dugout. A big hand goes up for the rest of the Baltimore Orioles squad. And along those lines, one very brief comment before you introduce the Dodgers. Manager Hank Bauer has repeatedly said this year that every man on this roster has made a contribution, and he can back it up in black and white. They really have. Bob?
They certainly have, Chuck. The significance to Palmer warming in the Baltimore bullpen could conceivably be that they have a pitching mound there. Whereas here, in front of the dugouts, they're pitching off a flat surface, and conceivably Palmer is electing to get used to it, because McNally did state that the high slope on the Dodger mound here bothered him a little bit and caused him to throw the ball a little higher than he normally would. Now, moving into the Dodger lineup is Maury Wills, the shortstop, and Junior Gilliam will bat in the number 2 spot and play at third base. There's been really only one basic change in the Dodger lineup, as is the case, as Chuck just told you, about Baltimore. Willie Davis will play center field. and bat in the number 3 spot. And now moving into right field will be a very fine outfielder, Ron Fairley, a left-hand batter, and batting in the number 4 spot. And you can hear from the applause that he is quite a local favorite. Jim Lefevre, that hard-nosed little second baseman for the Dodgers, is batting number 5, playing second base. Now Lou Johnson, has moved from right field into left field as Tommy Davis has been benched against Palmer. Left fielder Lou Johnson will bat in the number 6 spot. One of the heady catchers of the game, and a man who is quoted by many, and of course Koufax says it mostly, I have never had such rapport with a catcher in my life as I have with Roseboro. I just don't ever shake him off. What he calls for is the one that I thought I wanted to throw anyhow. So Roseboro bats 7th and catches. Wes Parker will be in the number 8 spot for the Dodgers and playing at first. And on the mound, that superstar who truly does belong in another league. Some league higher than this one. His name is Sandy Koufax. You'll hear the roar. With his bad left elbow, really struggled to win 27, Chuck. I wonder what he would have done if he'd have had a real good live flipper.
I don't know whether this is a parallel that can obviously be made or not, but Koufax is just it's miraculous the way he can throw with the arm that he has. I think a parallel could be Mickey Mantle. How can he run? Can he swing with the numerous injuries he's had? And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California, our national anthem.
Accompanied by Don Beasley on the Dodger team over to Oregon. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Bauman.
We'll be back with more pregame color from Dodger Stadium on the second game of the 1966 World Series right after this message.
Wow, 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 Winston tastes good. Like your cigarette should. When I changed to Winston, I changed for good. 'Cause I got good taste, like I knew I would. Winston tastes good, like it should. When you change to Winston, change for good, 'cause Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Winston tastes good like your cigarette should. Make your cigarettes Winston.
Winston.
Before Sandy Koufax takes the mound for the second game of the 1966 World Series between the Dodgers and the Orioles, we pause 10 seconds for station identification.
Saratoga, the authentic Vichy behind the yellow label. The only mixer we know of that people built a city just to be near. WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
The umpires for game number 2 will be aligned in the following manner. At the plate from the American League will be Mr. Shylak, and I have to pause now because one of baseball's greats, and I know what I say when I say great. Casey Stengel has just thrown out the first ball preceding game number 2. Mr. Shylak is the American League representative at home plate today with Chris Pelikutis at first base. The second base umpire from the American League is John Wright. The third base umpire from the National League is Mel Steiner. Down the left field foul line from the American League is Cal Drummond, and on the right field line from the National League is Bill Jakowski. Well, that takes care of just about everything. Koufax completing his final tune-up tosses. Aparicio will be stepping in, and believe me, it is with a great deal of pleasure that we bring to the microphone the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the gunner himself, Bob Prince.
Thank you very much, Chuck Thompson. Real pleasure, too, to be here with you again, and with Jim Simpson, who's been helping out tremendously. And I'm looking at a statistic that Alan Roth, who for many years was the Dodger statistician, sent over, and I'm wondering if it was with some sort of a gleam in his eye that he remembered the years of Dodgerdom, as against now working, of course, for NBC Sports, when he points out that Sandy Koufax had 27 complete games in 1966, whereas the entire Baltimore staff only had 23. That is a statistic that is something. A little later on, when we get the chance, and Chuck Thompson will have to fill you in on it, a near tragedy occurred to Mo Drabowski. And we'll talk about it. Aparicio is in, and he takes a strike. Aparicio went 0 for 5 in Game 1 yesterday, but drove in a run on an infield out. Coaching at first for Baltimore, Gene Woodling, Billy Hunter over at third. It is 3:30 down both lines, 4:10 straight out. Brilliant, sunshiny day. Gilliam is up tight at third. Pitch from Koufax, the curveball in there, strike 2 call. Gilliam now, with 2 strikes to Aparicio, deepens his position at third. They have Wills at short, Lefevre at second, and Wes Parker at first. Wasted his fastball low and away, ball 1. Lou Johnson in left field, Willie Davis in center, Ron Fairley in right. The game the Dodgers know they must win. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Aparicio swings on the curve, bounces wide at third, and backhanded by Maury Wills, makes a strong throw, but he doesn't get him. Gilliam over to try to cut it off, could not. Wills went into the hole, came up beautifully on a backhand throw, and Aparicio legs it out for an infield single.
Number 3, left fielder, Kurt Bleffery.
Left fielder Kurt Bleffery standing in now. He was 1 for 3 in the first game. Batting in the number 2 spot. Both teams have made just one change due to the pitching situation. Ron Fairley going into right, Johnson moving to left with Palmer pitching. Bleffery hits a high pop in the shallow center. Willie Davis goes loping up and gets under, 1 out. Bleffery flies out to shallow center field. Now the right fielder, Frank Robinson, in. 2 for 5 yesterday. Hit a home run, his second series homer, having already done so in 1961 against the Yankees, while a member of the Reds. Drove in 2 very big runs for Baltimore. There's 1 out here in the top half of the first. Aparicio, an infield single to the hole at short. And now Frank Robinson in. The outfield overshifting way around to the left. They gap him in right center, and Fairley gives him 90 feet of the right field line. The on-deck batter will be Brooks Robinson. Koufax checks, and they're running. The throw goes to first base. Parker on into Wills. They got it. It is to be presumed whenever the Baltimore Ball Club gets a chance to run on Koufax, they will, because he is not known to have a very good pickoff move. In this case, he went right on to Parker, and Parker right into Wills for the out. Robinson takes a strike, 0-1. Aparicio, of course, a very daring base runner and a very successful one down through the years. No balls, 1 strike. Right swinging. That time Sandy took a little off his curveball. As Chuck said yesterday, we could spend hour upon hour telling you about all the records this great Koufax has put up. He's had exactly 110 strikeout games during his major league career. A ball up and in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He had 15 strikeouts against the Yankees in 1963 in a World Series, so he can bring it to you. Foul back by Robinson, 1-2. We get the proper break just in case you might have missed it. Mo Dabrowski was rather badly burned on his left arm last night, and Chuck will be able to fill you in on it more as he is at the hotel where the Baltimore club is quartered here in Los Angeles. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Robinson hits a high fly to left field. Johnson coming over to get under it and makes the play to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left. And we go now to the Dodger first inning here. No score. Now a Falstaff salute to the world.
We're in the home of a man with a most unusual hobby. Mr. Wilbers, you collect beer cans. Tell us about them.
Well, here's what we call a first day can. Picked it up in Atlanta the first day the Carling Black Label Brewery opened up there.
And this one?
Priceless, another Black Label can from their Phoenix Brewery. The ring tab is on the bottom instead of the top.
I see. Sort of a top-bottom can.
Here, Black Label can from their Baltimore Brewery. Look, brewed and filled in Baltimore. Baltimore, L instead of R, you see. Mistake, very rare.
Oh, yes.
Here's a match block of 6 from Carling's Tacoma Brewery. Beautiful, isn't it?
It looks like a 6-pack to me.
Match block of Tacoma. Sure went out to me $90 for these.
I noticed, Mr. Wilbers, your whole collection seems to be Carling Black Label cans.
Ah, we collectors are only human. After all, I do drink all this beer.
And what does Mrs. Wilbers think about your collection?
She won't dust them.
Ready now to move into the Dodger first inning. And young Jim Palmer, the flame-throwing right-hander that Chuck was talking to you about, will be in, and he'll go to Maury Wills, who was hitless in 3 at-bats yesterday. A switch batter. Again, the Dodgers present the only all-switch hitting infield in baseball, and Wills leads it off. Palmer started him off with a fastball that Wills took with a strike. Jimmy Palmer was 15-10 in 1966, leading the Baltimore staff in wins. He turned that one over, and it just turned outside a little on him, 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Third baseman Brooks Robinson up tight at third. He bunted and foul-tipped, and that one caught plate umpire Nestor Shylock. A ball and 2 strikes. Brooks Robinson at third base, Luis Aparicio at short. Johnson at second, Boog Powell at first, Kurt Bleffery in left field, Paul Blair in center, and Frank Robinson in right. Coaching is Preston Gomez at third, and Danny Ozark at first for the Dodgers. Palmer, 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. 1 hopper back there, knocks it down. Now throws low, but Boog Powell holds. There you see, Chuck Thompson, one of the things that National League opponents have had to worry about a little bit. They realize with the great Dodger speed, a slight bubble, and you've got to come up fast. And, of course, too, sometimes when you do come up fast that way, you hurry yourself into an error.
Very true. Palmer came out of it. I think he is all right. He was kind of shaking his right hand just a little bit. And, Bob, before we get any deeper in the ball game, about Mo Grabowski, it was a minor sort of an accident. At the hotel this morning, a big pot full of hot coffee was spilled, both over the boy carrying and over the left arm of Mo Grabowski, between the wrist and the left elbow. He has been treated by the Oriole trainer, Eddie Wiedner. Is a little uncomfortable, but when rested, we'll be able to see service without too much difficulty. Palmer had a couple of practice pitches, Bob. Apparently is all right. Here we go.
So now, switch batting junior. Gilliam is in. 0 for 2 yesterday. Drove in a run, however. The left-hander pops it up into the air toward Aparicio at short. Luis goes back, shades his eyes, gets under, 2 down. And the indication on the first 2 batters is that Palmer's fastball is live. He's either going to make you hit him into the ground or pop him up. That means that ball's moving. Not only velocity in toward the plate, but it's doing something. Willie Davis, notorious first time up for a swing, does and fouls to the left. Willie had a 1 for 4 situation yesterday. No balls, 1 strike to the left-hand batting center fielder, Willie Davis. No score. Change up and in for a ball, 1-1. 1. Palmer had some home run problems, gopher balls they call them in the pitcher's language. Had considerable trouble early, giving up 13 homers in his first 14 starts, but then began to control that tendency, yielding only 8 in his last 16 starts. A ball inside, 2 balls, a strike. Two balls, 1 strike. No score, 2 out, none on. Dodger first inning. There's a fastball he brought to him, and Willie Davis fouled it back. Ball 2, strike 2. 330 down both lines. Then it goes to 380, 390, and 410. Everything very equidistant in exactly one of the most beautiful baseball parks in the nation. Ball 2, strike 2 pitch. Struck him out swinging, and he put that baby right into his wheelhouse, as they call it, and threw it by him. So it's 3 up and 3 down for the Dodgers. And at the end of 1, there is no score. And now, here's our favorite umpire, Nick Prone, with another anecdote.
A particular first baseman in our league has what we call an early foot. He is also over-friendly. One day he greets me with, say, how may I ask is your dear mother? My mother was fine, I answer. And she told me to tell you to keep your foot on the bag. He does not faze. He tries again with, they say you discovered a terrific new razor. They say right, I reply. It is just on the market, the Gillette Techmatic. It ends blade handling forever. 6 super stainless steel shaving edges are coiled and sealed inside a cartridge, like film in a camera. Each edge lasts about a week. Flip a lever and a new edge locks in place. The Gillette Techmatic is very sharp against the beard, but very, very light against the skin. Try it. Well, next road trip he greets me with, hey, the Gillette Techmatic is the lightest touch in shaving. You were right. Early foot, I rejoined, I am never wrong.
Into the Baltimore second inning of a scoreless ball game, Brooks Robinson leads it off, playing at third, and he takes a tailing delivery on the outside corner for a strike. Brooks homered yesterday, going 1 for 5, and of course picked up an RBI. 0-1. High pop. It looks like Gilliam will field it in foul territory, although Roseboro is over there and calls him off and makes the catch right in front of him. So Brooks Robinson is out on a pop foul down the left field or down the third base line. Now Boog Powell standing in. He went 1 for 5 yesterday, but he got more mileage out of tearing first base apart than he did anything else. As he ran by it, he skidded it one way, broke all the moorings loose, and took a header and got up and moved into second for a double. There's a curve for a strike.
He got a lot of kidding in the bus after the game, too. The players are saying that's the only time I ever saw a fella slide twice in a 2-base hit.
No balls, 1 strike. Koufax, another curveball, strike called, 0-2. So Koufax has given early indication that he'll work his curveball to the left-hand hitting Boog Powell. In the National League, when he would go to Matthews and others, many times he just gave him that overhand fastball. He did then. He just missed with it outside. A ball and 2 strikes. 1 out, none on. Baltimore second inning, no score. 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Nope, it was foul tipped and not held. So Boog Powell has life at the plate. American League umpires, traditionally behind the plate, wear the outside chest protector, whereas the National League using the inside chest protector. Koufax getting the sign from Roseboro, wasting no time. 1-2 delivery, a curveball hit deep into right field. Ron Fairley drifting back near the warning track, down toward the right field line, gets there for the out. Got some pretty good wood to that, but not quite all of the sweet spot he wanted. And going back in front of the 330 mark, Ron Fairley hauled it in. Now Dave Johnson, the second baseman, who sparkled in the field for Baltimore yesterday and who had a very wonderful day at the plate, 2 for 4. Batting in the number 6 spot, playing at second base, standing in, he's a right-hand batter. Dodger outfield overshifting to the left. Fastball strike at the knees, it was called. On deck, center fielder Paul Blair. Here's the 0-1 delivery, and this one is in there, strike 2 call. And Koufax, in turning that one over, had that ball running away from the right-hand batter, picking up the outside corner. Nothing and 2 to count. 2 down, none on, no score in the second. The curveball, and that's beat foul over past Billy Hunter into the Dodger dugout. Dodger dugout at Dodger Stadium located on the third base side. And, of course, Baltimore on the first base side. Nothing and 2 with 2 down here in the top half of the second inning. Now the 0-2 pitch. He let up on it, and he hits a little popper into right center. Going back is Lefevre, getting out there and makes the play. Willie Davison fairly had no play on the ball. But Lefevre scampered back quickly and got under, and that retires the side. 3 up and 3 down, and we go now into the bottom of the second inning. Baltimore and the Dodgers are scoreless.
This is Joe Garagiola. Your Chrysler Plymouth dealer has a free gift waiting for you that should make the 1966 World Series even more enjoyable. It's my World Series scorebook, which contains fun, facts, and score sheets for as many as 7 games. We honestly feel that it's something different. Besides keeping score in this book, you can find out why the flags on the grandstand, the chalk on the foul line can both be important to a World Series team. You'll read about the player who publicly predicted before the series that his team would lose. And you'll also get some tips that will enable you to look ahead to how certain plays might work out. It's absolutely free at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer, all part of his service for you called Customer Care. It's a way of doing business that puts the customer first. Pick up a free copy of Joe Garagiola's World Series scorebook at your Chrysler Plymouth dealers. It's something I think you'll want to keep even after the series is over.
They have just put an announcement on the panogram here. Pleased to have with us today guests of Commissioner Eckert, astronauts Lieutenant Colonel Ed White, Lieutenant Colonel Gus Grissom, Lieutenant Commander Roger Chaffee. Lieutenant Colonel White was the first man to walk in space, and then they said, a base on balls the hard way. You can see the mind of one Red Patterson working that one out. Ron Fairley, the right fielder, batting in the number 4 spot, a left-hand batter. Dodgers have him as a very fine clutch man, a good outfielder, and he's knocking some very big runs for them. He takes inside from Palmer a ball. Baltimore playing it outside. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's in there on the corner, 1-1. And Fairley doesn't like it. Sandy Koufax has delivered 20 pitches in 2 innings, and only 2 of them were called balls. For quite a while this year, he averages just under 90 pitches per game. 1-1, underneath the knees, called the ball, 2-1. Young Palmer will not be 21 years of age until the 15th of October. 2 balls, a strike. And it's ball 3. He might not be old enough, Chuck, to be aware of the fact that he could be frightened. Maybe he just isn't old enough to know any better yet, huh? He was a big, big man for Baltimore. 3 balls, a strike. To Ron Fairley. He walked him. So Ron Fairley draws a leadoff walk for the Dodgers here in the second of a scoreless game. And Jim Lefevre, who had a home run yesterday in 3 official trips, batting left-handed. The number 5 batter in the Dodger batting order, playing at second base. They play him straight out. Ron Fairley, medium speed, the runner at first. Fly ball lifted down the left field line. It's going to slice out of here foul. A very gaily bedecked Dodger Stadium with the bunting all over the railings and all. Beautiful. 0-1. Ron Fairley, the runner at first, held by Boog Powell. This gives Lefevre a little bit of a hole at the right side of the diamond as Johnson's playing over a little to his right. Palmer works to him, and the ball is bunted foul. 0-2. Lefevre appeared that time to give that bunt away, turning around just enough that Palmer moved that ball in on him and came right off the mound over toward first, and quickly.
In his high school days, Jim Palmer, quite an athlete, and early in his baseball career, scouts were not too certain as to whether they thought he might be an outfielder or a pitcher, so he's agile on the mound.
No balls, 2 strikes. Pitcher can win a lot of games with his glove. The 0-2 delivery, he lets up on it, sends it into the dirt low. Etchebarren blocking it nicely. A ball and 2 strikes. 1-2. No score. We're in the bottom of the second. Ron Fairley at first on a walk. Stuck him out swinging. He changed up on him beautifully. Boy, he came in with a great overhand change curveball. That's the second strikeout for Palmer. Now, here's Sweet Lou Johnson. Went 0 for 3 yesterday. This youngster spent a long time in the minor leagues, as Chuck and I discussed with you yesterday, and he's happy to be right where he is. He came to play. The outfield swings to the left on him. Fairley, short lead at first. Palmer checks and delivers. Has a push to the right for the base hit. Hit it off the end of the bat. Fairley's around second on his way to third. And the ball is picked up by Robinson and dropped from his knees and into second base. On the play goes Johnson. It looked as though Dave Johnson dropped off the ball thinking that Robinson was going to make the play on it. And then Robinson delayed, thinking that he was. And the result was, when Frank came up with it, he slipped and went down, and it will be ruled a double. So the Dodgers get their first hit in the ball game, and the catcher is Johnny Roseboro, 0 for 4 yesterday. And a very typical Dodger rally in the making. A base on balls and a bloop off the end of the bat. This is not said now in derision or in any way. This is a typical Dodger rally. And they did it so many times over the season that you know they play for it. Baltimore infield is up to Roseboro. My ball hit up back short. Aparicio dropping back. Here makes the catch, and it's 2 down. And that time, Mr. Palmer really jammed Roseboro. Did he put it in on that bat handle?
Number 28, first baseman, Willie Parker.
Now, Wes Parker standing in. 1 for 5 yesterday, a double. And we'll see how manager Bauer elects to handle this situation. Aparicio now talking with young Palmer. Etchebarren standing there as though that's what they'll do. They'll walk him to get to Koufax. At one time, Chuck Thompson, Sandy Koufax was a switch hitter. And he got up there, batting left-handed once, and was jammed with a pitch, and this occasioned then the blister on his finger, and he felt that had a lot to do with the problems that he had later on. So he practiced switch hitting today. We'll see whether or not he's going to go up there, because naturally batting left-handed, he puts the money hand right up there where he doesn't want it.
I'd have to leave that in his dugout if I was Sandy, believe me.
He got a bad right-handed. Infield is back. When you look at Sandy Koufax's batting average, you have to factor it out and get it into a few decimals. It's .076. Fly ball into shallow right. And in fact, Johnson's dropping back to second base. He's there, and the Baltimore Orioles are out of the can. No runs, 1 hit. No Baltimore errors, and 3 Dodgers stranded. At the end of 2, it is scoreless.
I've just run out.
You've just run out?
I'm out of cigarettes.
Well, try one of mine.
Try one of yours?
Sure. Try one of mine. Have a Salem. Salem is the best old cigarette. Now refreshes your taste for you. Salem is the best old cigarette all of America's turning to. When you buy a best old cigarette, don't take anything but the best. Salem is the best old cigarette, the one brand that outsells all the rest. Try one of mine. Turn to Salem, for a taste that's springtime fresh.
the event you're just tuning into the broadcast, Luis Aparicio led off with an infield single for Baltimore, and they picked him off. Koufax to Parker to Wills, and Koufax has slammed the door since. Dodgers had a real good threat riding in the second when Fairley walked, and after one out, Johnson blooped to double to right. Roseboro popped to short, and Parker was given the intentional walk, and Koufax popped to second. That was it. The batter now is Paul Blair, the center fielder, standing in. A right-hand batter, and he takes a curveball strike. 0-1. Top of the third. There's a high pop foul coming back straight overhead, 0-2. Andy Etchebarren is the on-deck batter for Baltimore in this scoreless game, now moving into the top of the third. Quite a contrast to yesterday's game. The 0-2 pitch. Line for right field, and Fairley appears to have it measured. Started in on the ball, then backed up a step and made a chest-high catch, and there's one away. That'll bring up Andy Etchebarren, who singled yesterday in 3 trips. Batting in the number 8 spot, a right-hand batter. No score in the top of the third, 1 out, none on. This now puts the Baltimore pitcher, Jim Palmer, in the on-deck circle. Sandy getting the sign now from catcher Johnny Roseboro. It's obvious his left arm is about 3 inches shorter than his right. There's a check on the pitch, and he takes it up high for a ball. Sandy questioning a little bit, thinking perhaps he not only had the strike zone, but surely a little better than a half swing. 1 ball, no strike. That was a good swing, and he didn't get the ball. 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, none on, and we're in the top half of the third. 55,947 here. Strike swinging. Yesterday they had 55,941. How the other 6 got in and where they are, I don't know. Strike 3 is called to Etchebarren, as that time Koufax came down the middle with a good fastball. So Sandy Koufax records his first strikeout. And now right-hand batting, right-hand pitching Jim Palmer stands in. 2 down in the top of the third, no score. Checked off the curveball inside, ball 1. In the infield, that's a mile up. We'll see who's going to camp under it. Looks like Gilliam is going to, and does, to make the catch to retire the side. So it is 3 up, 3 down. And we go now to the bottom of the third inning. Baltimore nothing, Los Angeles nothing.
Well, the World Series marks the end of baseball action for the year, but football is shifting into high gear. And if you'd like first-rate seats for the top games and for less than 50 cents a game, I have a suggestion. Get Motorola rectangular color television. You see, Motorola color television costs as little as 15 cents a viewing hour. That's less than 50 cents a game, based on the price of the table model on 3-year contract. You get Motorola solid-state reliability at 17 critical points, numbered controls for easy color tuning, and the big, bright rectangular picture pioneered by Motorola. This year, see football in color and enjoy it more. You'll also get a bigger kick out of your favorite nighttime shows because they're in color, too. See your Motorola dealer and discover how you can have color television for as little as 15 cents a viewing hour with Motorola. Now introducing the new Flight of Color television.
We pause 30 seconds now for station identification.
Your radio has not gone cuckoo. That's merely the sound of Saratoga Vichy and its long-lasting fizz. The story behind that fizz is even stranger than the sound. You see, nature carbonates Saratoga Vichy, giving it a perky little fizz with incredible staying power. It keeps drinks fresh far longer than club soda or any of the imitation Vichy's. Saratoga, the authentic Vichy in the yellow label.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Name of Morning, M-O-R-N-I-N-G, Maurice Morning Wills will lead it off. The attendance figure announced, the 55,947, is a new Dodger Stadium record in World Series. Palmer works low to Will. They now have drawn here in the two games 111,888. Wills was a comebacker victim in the first inning, going out pitcher to first. He looked like he was going to bunt, and he got a zinger on the inside that got him out of there in a hurry. 2 balls and no strikes. Gilliam, the on-deck batter, with Willie Davis to follow. There is no score in the bottom of the third at Dodger Stadium. Palmer working. Strike is called. 2-1. Some of the fans are not umpiring quite as much as Mr. Shalak behind the plate, as you can hear in the background. A strike is a strike to the batter under a lot of different ways. There's the ball, bunted foul. Etcheburn picked it up very quickly. 2-2. He had a play on him had it remained fair. But if a batter of any stature gets in there and then crouches way over, a pitch could actually be up around his head and be a strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes, no score. Dodgers batting in the bottom of the third. Young Jim Palmer working to Maury Wills. This is, of course, the spot right here where he wants the decision, if he can get it favorably, on a 2-2 pitch. And here it comes. Line down the left line, slicing a foul. 2-2. As we all discussed yesterday, the Baltimore outfield employs what was at one time known as the Richie Ashburn shift. The left fielder, Bleffer, is practically in foul territory, and Blair is way over. The right fielder, Robinson, is a good 100 feet or more off the right field line. Should Wills ever get a chance on a pitcher's mistake to pull one down the right field line, there would be some red faces somewhere, because there's nobody out there to go get the ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gets it down towards second base. Davy Johnson is up and on to Boog Powell, and there's 1 out in the Dodger third. Here's Junior Gilliam now. Not the short in the first inning. Might explain, as we did yesterday, you perhaps hear what sounds like an echo. Dodger baseball fans have been accustomed to listening to their great voice of the Dodgers, Vin Scully, and they bring their transistor radios, and of course they all just create a one big buildup. And you hear yourself coming back at you all the time as they watch the game and pick up interesting sidelights from Vinny during the regular season. There's a strike call, 0-1. No balls, 1 strike. And this ball was a little fast on outside. He turned it over. 1-1. Of significance, you might notice in this game, if Wills gets aboard and Gilliam to follow in the right situation, some rather tremendous baseball. A good fastball to the inside corner, called strike 2, 1-2. Or if Wills gets on and Gilliam is the next man, you'll see some terpsichore out there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. His curveball missed a little bit. Palmer didn't like it that time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. No score, 1 out and none on in the Dodger third. Junior Gilliam, switch batting, up there left-handed. Now the 2-2 pitch, bounced on a big chop toward short, big chest-high hop for Aparicio, low throw, but held by Boog Powell.
Willie Davis.
Now Willie Davis standing in. Willie struck out in the first inning. Each side in with a base hit, a bloop double by the Dodgers' Lou Johnson, an infield single by Baltimore's Luis Aparicio. That's it. The Dodgers mounted the most serious threat in the second with runners at second and third and 1 out, but Palmer pitched out of it. Foul coming straight back, and there's that first pitch swing by Willie Davis. No balls, 1 strike. The outfield playing Willie straight away. The 0-1 delivery, he turned that one over and sent it outside like a screwball, low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two down in the Dodger third. Now the 1-1 from Palmer. Swinging a foul, and he took a little off the curveball that time, and Willie Davis got out in front of it, bouncing it foul behind the plate umpire. A ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2 delivery. Up high for a ball, 2-2. It would be interesting to pick the brains of the collective pitching staffs of the Baltimore pitchers and then the Dodger pitchers. Baltimore pitchers can go out every day figuring that over the season they probably are going to have about 5 runs going for them before the game is over. Swing and a miss, he stuck him out, and that'll retire the side on his 3rd strikeout. 3 up and 3 down at the end of 3 innings. Baltimore nothing, Los Angeles nothing. Say, I want to ask you something. Are you willing to accept the challenge? A challenge from Gillette? Well, if you are, here's all you have to do. Go out and buy a pack of Gillette Super Stainless blades. Put one of the blades into your razor and then shave with it. Sound easy enough? Sure, because that's not the challenge. The challenge is to try and go back to your old way of shaving after that. And frankly, man, you just won't be able to do it because you'll be spoiled by this new blade. You see, the Gillette Super Stainless is more than just a new razor blade. It's a whole new way of shaving because there's a miracle plastic coating baked onto the cutting edge, a coating that actually reduces the pull when you shave. This blade is invented and patented by Gillette. We call this blade the spoiler because once you try it, you'll be completely and unequivocally spoiled. Are you game enough to try it? Just ask for the spoiler, alias the Gillette Super Stainless. Baltimore now turns their lineup around and comes up for the second time with Aparicio, who had the infield single in the hole at short in the first, and then was cut down from Koufax to Parker to Wills. Luis is a right-hand batter. They play him rather shallow, straight out in center field. Swings and he fouls back. Looks like he was just trying to punch that one. But continuing with the thought of a moment before, the Baltimore pitchers know that basically on a day-in, day-out situation, they can look for 4 or 5 runs from somebody on their club. There's a high pop, and that ball was moving, and it's going to be up near the mound, and coming up in between the mound and the catcher Roseboro is Gilliam to make a fair ball catch. Pop to third, 1 away. It'll bring up Bleffery. Now then, consider that over the season, all of the Dodger pitchers have to figure out how they're going to protect the 1 run they're going to get. So that has been, of course, one of the great things about the Dodger ball club. Their fine defense. You make the error, they take advantage of it, and they're very superb pitching. Bleffery takes it low and away, ball 1. Fly to center field his first time up. We are in the top of the 4th, 1 out, none on. No score, Baltimore and Los Angeles in game 2. A change curve, and it stayed a little high. 2 balls and no strikes. Now the 2-0 pitch to Bleffery. Punched at it and hit it foul back over here to our left. Bleffery drew 18 walks in one 11-game stretch back in July, including 7 in 2 games against the New York Yankees. So it shows that, as Chuck was talking yesterday, he's got a pretty good idea where that pitch is. There's a high pop foul to the left, and I believe it'll be up into the seats. It is 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, none on. Bleffery the batter. Frank Robinson to follow. Koufax ready to go. 2-2 pitch. And he hits this one, Bleffery does. High in the air, back up short. Wills drifting back on the grass 20, 30 feet, makes the play. Now to indicate the manner in which Koufax's ball is moving, he has fouled out Robinson to the catcher. He popped up Johnson to the second baseman. He popped up Palmer to the third baseman. And now Aparicio and Bleffery have hit little poppers. So that ball's doing something. It's just not coming straight in. She's got some high risers on it.
Actually, Bob, the only fellow who hit the ball on the ground was Aparicio for his leg hit in the first inning. Everything else has been right up in the air.
Yes, sir, it's moving. Here's Frank Robinson now. He took a good cut, but that ball was moving away from him. And it's 0-1. Fouling it straight back. They've overshifted around to the left on Frank. No balls, 1 strike. This one came in under his chin and all the way to the backstop. 1-1. Robinson has been hit a few times, and when he first came into the major leagues with the Cincinnati Reds, he shut the record. That's the one thing he didn't want. He was hit more by pitchers than any man going. But he crowds the plate. You can actually hit him with a strike. 1-1. If he takes it. Inside this time, ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. He appears to have straightened up just a little bit here from the days we have seen him when he was with Cincinnati, and it might be that his reflexes have gone back just a little bit, and there wisely has moved off the plate a little. 2-1. Ball 3, fastball inside, up the knees, 3-1. Koufax naturally will be a bear-down pitcher at all times, but perhaps more so against a Frank Robinson because he realized what this fella can do with a bat. There's a foul coming back up toward our booth. 3-2. Frank was hit 10 times this year by pitched balls, raising his lifetime total to 128 for 11 seasons. And that's a record I know he wishes he didn't have. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The curve way upstairs, and he walked him, and Sandy scuffles around the mound, disgusted with himself. That's the first walk that Sandy has issued. So with 2 down, Robinson becomes the second base runner against Koufax. And now Brooks Robinson, who fouled out to the catcher, Johnny Roseboro, stands in. There's no score. We are in the top half of the 4th inning. And Frank Robinson is now the runner, Brooks Robinson the batter. Koufax delivers a swing and a miss. 0-1. Brooks saw a little of that. Maybe he didn't, because Sandy might have given him that radio pitch, the one you could hear but not see, because he had something on that one. A little lob throw over to first base. Koufax checks, and the pitch. He's high around the bill of the cap. A ball, 1-1. They've overshifted in the outfield. They gap Brooks Robinson in right center and give Fairley enough room over there where he's 90 feet off the line. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brooks fouls down the right side over to our right, 1-2. There's a pretty good gap in between Parker holding on the runner Robinson and Lefevre, who's well over to his own right. And Brooks that time appeared to be trying to take advantage of that hole. He has great bat control. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Curveball, and that was awfully close. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Robinson edging off first, and there's a little idle toss over. Mentioned earlier, Sandy does not have the greatest move in baseball, and picking him off, I doubt if he's had much practice. There's a ball hit down toward the hole, and Gilliam bobbles it off. And Frank Robinson turns at second base, and is going to be stepped off as he stumbles to fall down. We'll have to tell you more about that play in a moment. And we'll have to get a ruling. And that may be forthcoming in a little while. But nonetheless, at the end of 3 1/2 innings, it is Baltimore nothing, Los Angeles nothing.
Plymouth is after when you over this year. Plymouth is after when you over this year. Follow your heart, see your Plymouth dealer today.
This is Edie Gourmet for your Plymouth dealer. He's out to win you over for 67 with the most tempting Furies ever. A new supercar, the Belvedere GTX. Beautiful all-new Valiant. Your Plymouth dealer's all heart.
Plymouth is out to win you over this year. Follow your heart, see your
your Plymouth dealer today.
Furies, all new valiants and sports-bred Belvederes now at your Plymouth dealers. He's got what it takes to win you over. They're still buzzing here at Dodger Stadium on that one. And the official scores have ruled an error charged to Gilliam, allowing Brooks Robinson to get to first base safely. Now, Frank Robinson went to second, and with Gilliam and Wills way out of position and nobody covering third, he started to go over to third and then changed his mind. And Gilliam, picking up the ball, snapped the throw to Lefevre for the pickoff on Frank Robinson and retire the side. So that inning total will show you no runs, no hits, the first error in the World Series of 1966, and one stranded. The batter now is Ron Fairley. He walked his first time up, and he takes ball two. 2 balls and no strikes in the bottom of the fourth. Fairley, fly ball into right center field. They'll have to hustle for this one. Blair is over there, though, and runs it down. He tried for the gap shot in between Frank Robinson and Paul Blair. Paul Blair scampering over to his left very quickly. Hauled it in. Here is Jim Lefevre, a strikeout victim back in the second. Jim Palmer is pitching, and he and Koufax are matching zeros with each other. Fastball belt high, taken for a strike. Bob Addy of the Washington Post has just been elected national chairman of the very great Baseball Writers Association of America, and that's up on the message board. No balls, 1 strike. Little hopper on one bounce to Palmer. He throws him out. Now Lou Johnson, who hit a double off the end of the bat into right field. Back in the second inning when the Dodgers really had their best bet riding. Bob Addy is a very wonderful writer and very widely read. A lot of people perhaps don't know it, that he is married to perhaps one of the greatest tennis players of all time in Miss Pauline Betts. The outfield is around to the left of this right-hand batting Lou Johnson, getting his first series hit back in the second. Cuts a foul back overhead. Strike 1. Nothing in 1 the count. 2 down. Dodger 4th. Baltimore and Los Angeles scoreless. Palmer sends him a breaking pitch to the outside. It just got outside a little too much. Does not like the ball and gets a new one from the plate umpire, Nestor Shylock. A ball 1, strike 1 count to Lou Johnson. Jim has the sign from Echeverria and the 1-1. Fly ball left center. That has some wood to it. Blair is back, though, and appears to have it measured in front of the 390 mark on the warning track. Hit the ball about 370 feet. But it was a big old can of corn for young Paul Blair. 3 up and 3 down at the end of 4. Baltimore nothing, Los Angeles nothing.
A great new cigarette is born. A new filter cigarette whose very name stands for flavor. New Camel Filters.
New Camel Filters, the one born rich.
New Camel Filters. This is the one born rich. Rich in taste, with that big Camel head start on flavor. Now that great Camel heritage of real taste comes to you in a great new filter cigarette. No other can compare in flavor and quality to new Camel Filters. This is the one you'll want to try.
Try Camel Filters, the one born rich.
In contrast to yesterday's Wild and Woolly game, it took almost an hour and a half for the first 2 innings as pitching changes were made and walks and home runs and things like that occurred. Now, through 4 innings of watching Koufax and Palmer duel, neither one who wastes any time bringing it to you. Just 50 minutes had elapsed. Boog Powell flied to right field and hit the ball probably harder against Koufax in this game so far than anybody. Takes a fastball outside, ball one. He backed it fairly up there toward the warning track in right field. He's backed a lot of fellas up. And then had them crane their neck a little bit and see where else it was going. A ball, 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Outfield straightaway, very deep. Ball 3 outside. Koufax missed with a breaking ball that time. And it was a harder throwing curve than he hasn't been throwing that lollipop curve of his, which will turn this crowd into ecstasies when he does. When he just gives you that big old dewdrop inner for a strike, he really turns the fans on. 3-0 pitch. Strike call, fastball to knees, 3-1. Powell stepping out now, checking Billy Hunter. Third base coach for Baltimore. 3-1 delivery from Koufax. Lined out for left field, and Johnson coming on, can't get it. Falls in front of him for a base hit. That's the second hit and the first real hit off Sandy Koufax. So Boog Powell takes Sandy to the opposite field. And now Dave Johnson in.
You mentioned Boog going to the opposite field with Sandy Koufax one night in Fenway Park. Boog Powell hit 3 home runs into the screen above the left field wall at Fenway.
Well, I think there isn't a park can hold him when he gets some wood to it. Yeah. Johnson shortened up his other bunt and takes high, ball 1. That brought Parker from first and Gilliam from third in quickly. Gilliam remains up at third to the right-hand batting second baseman, who is 0 for 1 in this one. He bunts a pop-up, and Wes Parker is all set to catch it, and Roseboro one-hands it up over Parker's coconut. So the put-out will go to Roseboro, much to the surprise of Wes Parker.
I'll bet for just a split second, Parker really panicked. You know, where is it? Where is it? Roseboro had that ice cream cone right there.
Paul Blair in now. He lined to the right fielder, Ron Fairley. They'll play him to pull. He's a right-hand batter. He pops one foul out of play. Strike 1. You're just getting in on the broadcast. There has been one real threat, and it was a Dodger threat. It occurred in the second inning when Ron Fairley walked. Johnson doubled to shallow right, with Fairley, of course, taking third. But then Palmer bore down, popped up Roseboro. They intentionally passed Parker to load the bases and popped Koufax to the second baseman Johnson, and that was the threat. The only real threat that has really been in this game. Blair swings, he misses, and 0-2. Baltimore has had just a mild one, but semi-ran themselves out of it in the fourth. 4-2 were down when it happened, and a Dodger error occurred. Blair, fly ball left center. Willie Davis quartering against that sun, drifting off to his right. Falls down, or either loses it in the sun. And Boog Powell comes to third, and into second will go Paul Blair. I had told you he was quartering against that sun. And as he does and looks up against the white shirts here in the upper deck above us, it is obvious from the way he played the ball that he lost it altogether. And it fell off to his left, and they will charge him with a 2-base error. That is the second Dodger error. When you lose a ball that you have it pretty well beat it in, Chuck, and then you don't know it where it is anymore, your tendency is to get your head out of the way because you can get hit, and that's just one of the breaks of the game.
Bob, one of the breaks in the game yesterday was a clutch catch by Russ Snyder in the second inning of a drive hit by John Roseboro. And in talking to Russ after the game, Alston is coming to the mound right now to talk with his pitcher Koufax and also Maury Wills. We talked to Russ after the game, and the same thing happened to Russ that just happened a moment ago to Willie Davis. He saw it momentarily, lost it, and then picked it up again at the last moment. So it was just a fortunate break that Snyder was able to come off with that play. An unfortunate break here for Willie Davis. Well, this NBC broadcast of the World Series is the most popular sports show on the air. Each year, more viewers see the World Series than any other sports spectacle. Alston has gone back to the dugout, and Andy Etchebarren will step in with Oriole runners at second and third with one out and back to Bob Prince.
Hang in there, Chuck. Now let's see how the Dodgers play it. They're kind of come up halfway in their infield. Etchebarren takes high ball one. Now, there are a lot of possibilities riding here that Alston said, look, Palmer's the man due up next. The base is open. Pitch carefully to him. If you can get him to go for a bad ball and get out of it, okay. And so they bring that infield up part way, not all the way. Swing and a miss, 1-1. And I'll tell you right now, Etchebarren was trying to hit that ball into right field. A great break for the Baltimore Orioles on a two-base error, sending Powell to third and Blair to second base with one away. And Koufax now has his work really cut out for him, although the game is yet scoreless. 1 ball, 1 strike. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 1-2. Sandy's had a lot of practice at situations like this, so he's not frightened of it, I'll guarantee you that. A ball and 2 strikes. Runners at second and third, 1 out, and the top of the 5th, the pitch to Etchebarren. High, 2-2. Boog Powell led off with a base hit to left. Johnson trying to bunt, and it just goes to show you he wasn't successful. You don't know how things might have turned around had that play occurred. And a near mix-up there by the Dodgers. 2-2 pitch. Etchebarren, a fly ball into left center. Willie Davis coming up for it. Boog Powell is tagging. Willie Davis is there, and he drops the ball again. And they throw the ball to third, and it gets away from third. Blair comes around third. He'll score, and into third goes Etchebarren. Hit a fly ball into shallow left center field. Willie Davis came in. Boog Powell tagged. It would have been a fearful collision at the plate had the catch been made and the throw into the plate to Roseboro occurred. But Willie Davis might have tried to throw it before he got it. I don't know, but he dropped it. In to score Powell. Coming in to score Blair with all his speed, and they had a play on him when Willie Davis picked the ball up. He then threw to third, but threw high. So it's conceivable he's going to get a double error on the play, and his third error in this inning, which is a record that he doesn't want. The most errors in an inning he now owns, 3 in World Series play. And Baltimore leads 2-0. And there still is only 1 man out, and the batter is Palmer, with Etchebarren at third, and the infield for the Dodgers now pulls up. Ball high. I don't know yet whether they will rule an RBI, and this is something we will have to ascertain, and that is why we have not said whether Etchebarren gets an RBI or whether it's an error all the way, and that's an official scores decision. Palmer takes high, ball 2, 2-0. We will get that for you. Nonetheless, Baltimore leading 2-0 on a fearful breakthrough of a Dodger error. 3 by Willie Davis, and none could feel more sorry for them than the announcers right here, because we know exactly that his heart is aching. 2 balls and no strikes. Etchebarren at third. The pitch to Palmer. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. Two balls, 1 strike to Jim Palmer. He cuts at this one, and it's 2-2. He popped to third base in the third inning. Etchebarren would get to first on an error and to third on another error, and there is no RBI involved. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Palmer. Dodger infield remains up. Here's the pitch. Palmer takes high, ball 3. So you will score Boog Powell on the error, the first error in this situation by Willie Davis, and you'll score Blair on the second error by Willie Davis, which was a throwing error. And put Etchebarren at third. Striking out Jim Homer. So there are 2 down. The infield is now back. That was the second strikeout for Koufax. The batter, Aparicio, takes a curveball strike. He's 1 for 2. Foul back. Strike 2. Actually, Baltimore has received the benefit of 5 outs in this inning, and Koufax is struggling to get to 6th. No balls, 2 strikes. To Aparicio with Etchebarren at third. 2-0 Baltimore in the top of the 5th. A curveball beat foul at the plate. No, sir, it goes without saying. Willie Davis, if he could dig a hole and get in there and hide for a while, he would. You couldn't blame him. Nobody likes to wear horns except certain 4-footed animals. And it's just one of those things where he lost the ball, I'm sure, the first time against the Sun, and then dropped it after a hard run here, and then had the misfortune to pick it up and throw it over the head of Gilliam. A ball inside, 1-2. The official score has therefore ruled no run batted in. 3 errors on the play. A ball, 2 strikes to Aparicio. Top of the 5th. The pitch, a curve into the dirt, blocked nicely by Roseboro. He went right out and smothered that. Good catchers on that overhand curveball into the dirt will roll that out and smother it because they want to control the spin of that ball and which way it's going to hop. They're never certain, so they just smother it, keeping it in front of them. Ball 2, strike 2. Now Koufax ready. 2-2 pitch. Foul back. Chuck Thompson, Aparicio seems to be up there just guarding the plate. Has he got a lot of bulldog in him with the bat?
He is. He'll protect that plate all the time and will, for the most part, as you pointed out, try to go the other way.
Ball 2, strike 2. 2 down, 2 runs in. Etchebarren, the runner at third. Koufax working. Here's the pitch. Curveball hit sharply inside third for a base hit. Etchebarren will score. Aparicio is around first and on his way into second base with a double. Lined it inside Gilliam, down into the corner pocket, and Baltimore leads 3-0. So we have our first run batted in this game. And it goes to Aparicio, who is 2 for 3. Got a curveball inside and gave it a good ride. The batter is Bleffery. Flied to center, popped to short. Koufax kicks high, and there's a high fly ball into shallow right. Coming up for it fast, Fairley. Going back, Parker and Lefevre. It is Ron Fairley near the right field line, making the catch that retires the side. So for Baltimore, 3 runs, 2 hits, 3 Dodger errors, and 1 Baltimore Orioles stranded. At the end of 4.5 innings of play, Baltimore 3, Los Angeles 0.
This is the warehouse. Some pretty good beers have served time here. There are people who think nothing can happen to beer in a place like this. But this beer becomes forgotten beer. Pushed around from warehouse to warehouse. Stored, loaded, trucked, unloaded, stored, loaded, shipped, unloaded, stored. Carlin will condemn beer to a long sentence in the warehouse. Carling built 8 nearby breweries to get our black label beer to the people while it's still fresh, while there's still life to it. Carling believes building a brewery is better. Anything is better than leaving our beer in the warehouse.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are set now to go into the Dodger fifth inning with the Baltimore Orioles out in front in a rather bizarre fifth inning in which they scored 3 runs. Now my pleasure to turn the microphone over to the veteran voice of the Baltimore Orioles, Chuck Thompson. Chuck?
Thank you very much, Bob Prince, and good afternoon, everyone. It'll be John Roseborough to lead off in the last half of the fifth inning. And the Dodgers are again facing the problem they faced yesterday, a problem they faced many times with great success throughout the year, the problem of catch-up baseball. Roseborough popped to shortstop in the second inning. Left-handed hitter. And Palmer looks down to Etchebarren for the side, and we're ready to go to the bottom of the fifth. Pitch. Strike call. Palmer rocks over the rubber. The right-handed pitch cut on. Fly ball well hit center field. Blair backpedaling, stops, looks up, and makes the catch. And we have one down, and we pause now 30 seconds for station identification.
Pure Jamaica ginger is the only kind of ginger that goes into Saratoga ginger ale. Why? To make a ginger ale that's different. One you can drink by itself, as well as a mixer. Take a sip, and it's mellow, gingery, without snapping at you. Even the bubbles are different, high-spirited, but long-lasting, and never overwhelming. The people who make Saratoga Vichy just can't bear to make a ginger ale like everybody else.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Chest protection of plate umpire Shylock. Glance down, hitting him on the leg, and he apparently is okay. 1 strike to Wes Parker. Swing and a high foul, maybe out of play is off the third base side. 2 strikes to Parker. The right-hander's next offering is high and away to Parker. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Parker, a southpaw hitter, switch hitter, and a left-hander against Palmer. Center fielder Blair shades him a bit toward the alley in left center. The pitch. Breaking ball is inside, and the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. One out and none out. Palmer to the wind, and the 2-2 pitch. Drive for a base hit out between Powell, the first baseman, and Johnson, the second baseman. Right field single for Wes Parker, the second base hit of the ball game for the Dodgers. The first one was a broken bat double into right field off the bat of Lou Johnson. And now getting a great hand, one of the greats of baseball, Sandy Koufax. This will be a second turn to the plate. In the second inning, he popped to the second baseman, Dave Johnson. The score in the last half of the fifth inning of game number 2, Baltimore 3, Los Angeles nothing. Powell moves into hold with the base runner Parker at first base, and Palmer is ready. First pitch to Koufax. High fly ball headed toward right field, coming into the ball right fielder Frank Robinson. Still waiting. He's got it, and that's the second out of the inning. Koufax retired in a fly ball to shallow right. 2 down now, and here is Maury Wills. And he'll take a little time getting up there in order to let Koufax get back to the dugout and maybe get the feet up. Maury Wills has bounced to the pitcher and grounded to the second baseman in 2 turns this afternoon. In yesterday's contest, Maury was 0 for 3, struck out twice and grounded to second, but reached twice via the base on balls. Powell now is playing about a step behind the bag to the base runner Wes Parker at first. Wills waits the first pitch. Swing ground ball to the glove side of second baseman Johnson. He's there, makes a pick up, the throw on the first in time. And that's it for Maury Wills. And for the Dodgers in the fifth inning, no runs, 1 base hit, no bird errors, and a man is left. At the end of 5 complete, the score, Baltimore 3, Los Angeles nothing. Here he is again with another story, our favorite umpire, Nick Prohm.
One night in Pittsburgh, a certain third baseman known as the Ape Man, on account of he was not a very dainty performer with the glove, lets a ground ball bounce off his chin. It raises such a lump that the next day he cannot shave. I hear of this and offer him my new Gillette Techmatic razor, which he graciously declines. Beat it, he says. Go feed your guide dog. Ape Man, I reply, the Gillette Techmatic razor just out has the lightest touch in shaving. 6 super stainless steel edges are coiled and sealed inside a cartridge, like film in a camera. Each edge lasts about a week. Then, flip a lever and a new edge locks in place. The Gillette Techmatic ends blade handling forever. Well, the Ape Man tries it. He gets a perfect shave from the Gillette Techmatic and does not even cut his bump. He says to me, you are a humanitarian. Ape Man, I reply, say that on the field, and you're out of the game.
They are redressing the skin of the infield now at Dodger Stadium as the Orioles are ready to come to bat in the top of the 6th inning with Frank Robinson to lead off. And one of the nice gestures from the spectators here at the Dodger Stadium occurred a moment ago as the unfortunate Willie Davis took center field. They gave him a fine, warm welcome as he came out that way. And as Bob Prince mentioned a moment ago, no one in the world could feel any worse than does Willie for the unfortunate errors of the previous inning. Well, it'll be Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, Boog Powell against Sandy Koufax in the last half of the 6th inning. Frank has flied to left and walked. The 5-inning totals here in game number 2 at the end of 5. The Orioles 3 runs on 3 base hits. They have not committed an error. The Dodgers no runs, 2 hits, and 4 errors. Incidentally, the Orioles led the league in the fewest errors in 1966, and they've done that 3 times in the last 4 years. Here is Frank Robinson. Koufax fires. Curveball drops in. Strike is called. Another one. This one misses, and the count even now at 1-1. Koufax to the move on the 1-1 to Frank Robinson. Now the breaking ball high on the count, 2 balls, 1 strike. Dodger outfield cut well around toward left and very deep to the power-hitting Frank Robinson. 2-1 pitch. He took a fastball high and a bit outside on the count now, 3-1. To Frank Robinson. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And he didn't hold back a little bit. Full count, Frank. And the big one, 3-2 to Robinson. Koufax delivers. Here's a foul ball out of play. And the count holds 3-2. Frank Robinson, the first Triple Crown winner since Mickey Mantle won it for the Yankees in 1956. Batting average, home runs, RBIs. 3-2 pitch to Frank. High fly ball headed toward the alley right center, racing back to center field, and the right fielder still going, and it'll be the right fielder. It dropped in front of him. It dropped in front of the right fielder fairly. Frank Robinson is around second, legging for 3. There isn't a throw toward third base. It comes toward the plate instead. Well, Willie Davis and Ron Fairley met on the warning track about 390 feet away in the alley in deep right center, and the ball just dropped right in front of the right fielder Ron Fairley and bounced through, and Frank Robinson opens with a triple. Frank Robinson has opened the Oriole half of the 6th inning with a booming triple into deep right center field. And Brooks Robinson steps in. The Dodger infield now played up Very shallow on the first base side, a couple of steps back on the third base side. Pitch is cut on high fly ball down the first base side foul. Giving chase is Wes Parker over near the box seat railing, reaches up and makes a dandy catch. A fine catch by Wes Parker near the box seat railing beyond the Oriole dugout on the first base side of Dodger Stadium. Good defensive play from Wes. Frank Robinson holding third on the play, and now the batter, Boog Powell, who has flied to right and singled to left field. Maury Wills at short is about a step off the infield grass. Third baseman Gilliam about even with a bag, maybe a little bit deeper than that. Lefevre about 2 steps back off the infield grass, and Parker maybe a step beyond the bag and wide of it at first. Pitch to Powell, high, ball 1. Outfield deep and just about straight away to Boog. Koufax to the move, the 1-0 pitch to Powell. High again, ball 2. 2-0 to Boog. And the 2-0 to Boog Powell. High fly ball down the left field side, fading. It may be a foul ball, will be, and now out of play. 2-1, the count to Boog. Orioles 3, Dodgers nothing. We're in the top of the 6th inning of game number 2. Birds captured the first game here at Dodger Stadium, 5-2 yesterday afternoon. 2-1 to Powell. High foul ball out of play off the third base side, and the count now levels at 2-2. Koufax to the move, the 2-2 to Powell. Breaking ball high, and the count now fills 3-2. The Birds have come up now with 4 base hits. Koufax has registered 2 strikeouts. All 3 of the Oriole runs, of course, unearned. 3-2, the count to Boog Powell. Koufax ready, the arm down in the pitch. Breaking ball swung on, line drive, base hit. Out toward the alley in right center field. Here comes Frank Robinson home with a 4th. Oriole run of the afternoon, and Powell has picked up his 2nd hit of the day against the left-hander Koufax. And his first run batted in. And it's now Baltimore 4, and the Dodgers nothing. And here is Dave Johnson, who popped to second in the 2nd inning, and attempting to bunt, fouled out to catcher Johnny Roseborough in the 5th. Parker moves into hold with the big man Powell at first base. Johnson waits. Sandy is ready. His pitch high pops out of the mid of Roseborough, but he kept it around the plate, and Powell is not able to advance. Ron Peronowski is throwing in the Dodger bullpen right now. Peronowski. Now the 1-0 pitch to Dave Johnson. Swing and a foul out of play. A ball and a strike. The Dodgers this afternoon with the Orioles again smash an attendance mark with 55,947. The 1-1 to Dave Johnson, swinging another foul out of play. And the count of ball, 2 strikes. Powell, the runner at first base, a count of a ball, 2 strikes to Dave Johnson. Koufax delivers. High foul again out of play behind the plate. And the count will hold. Koufax is ready. The 1-ball, 2-strike pitch. Drive for a base hit beyond the diving first baseman Parker out of the right field. Powell is around second base, coming out to third. Here's the throw coming to third from Ron Fairley. Powell is in safely. The ball gets away from the third baseman. Backing up is Koufax. Down to second goes Dave Johnson. And the Birds have runners at second and third. Powell takes third, and the line single into right field off the bat of Dave Johnson. Johnson races down to second base on the throw to third that was off the mark and caromed by Gilliam, but Koufax was right behind him to back up the play. Sandy, however, had no chance to make a play on Dave Johnson moving into second base. The ruling will be an error, a throwing error to the right fielder Ron Fairley, and the Dodgers have come up with their 5th error in the game. 1 out. Oriole runners at second and third. Paul Blair is the batter, and they are going to give him the intentional base on balls with first base open and 1 down. An intentional walk to Paul Blair will now load the bases for the Dodgers, for the Orioles against the Dodgers, and bring to the plate Andy Etchebarren. Well, the most errors for one club in a 9-inning World Series game, 6 by 3 clubs, and the Dodgers now have hung up 5. Bob?
The 3 unearned runs in the 5th inning, and of course one here that'll be earned, the one that Robinson just scored, a ball that fell in between 2 outfielders that appeared to be catchable. They'll be discussing that one quite a while. Koufax can't get away from 5 errors, and there's no question about it. That's an awful burden to have to carry around.
Here now is Etchebarren with the bases loaded. Ball 1 is too high to Andy. Etchebarren was called out on strikes in the 3rd inning, and then he was involved in the triple errors of the 5th inning. Pitch coming down to Andy is high again, ball 2. Bases loaded, 1 out. And a count of 2 balls, no strikes to the right-hand batting rookie Oriole catcher, Etchebarren. Koufax throws. 5, ball 3. And the burden of 5 errors, as Bob Prince pointed out, is a tremendous load for anyone to carry, even Sandy Koufax. 3 balls, no strikes, the count to Etchebarren. Blair at first, Johnson at second, Powell at third. It's a 3-0 pitch. Right down Broadway, and the strike is called. Etchebarren under wraps, taking all the way. Pitch. Swing ground ball hit toward the third baseman. He's got it. The play will be to the plate. That's 1 out. Now on to first base. In time to get the double play. The Dodgers got it just what they wanted. The first end of the double play from Gilliam to the plate to Roseboro. Roseboro wheeled to first baseman Parker to get the other end of Etchebarren, and the Orioles are stopped after 1 run in this inning on 3 base hits. 1 Dodger error. And 2 are left. And at the end of 5.5 innings of play, the score now, Baltimore 4, the Dodgers nothing.
This is Joe Garagiola. If you're a man with a collection of sports books, or if you're a lady who never even bothers to look at the sports pages, I think you'll enjoy the Joe Garagiola World Series scorebook, now available absolutely free at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer. If you like to keep score during a baseball game, there are score sheets in the book for that purpose. And if you'd like to keep score but don't know how, there are very simple, and I do mean simple, instructions. There are some laughs, some tips on things to watch for, and some records, all of which should add to your enjoyment of the 1966 World Series. For millions of Americans, the World Series is fun, and the idea of this book is very simply to add to that fun. A trip to your Chrysler Plymouth dealer is a good idea anytime, especially right now for a fall checkup. Get your copy of the Joe Garagiola Fun and Facts World Series scorebook. The Chrysler people and I both hope that it'll be something you want to keep even after the series is over. Remember, it's free.
You know, college baseball is getting better every year. One reason may be found in the 5 summer leagues operating exclusively for college players, which provided spirited competition in various areas last summer. The major leagues contributed $75,000 to these leagues, which operate under strict NCAA regulations to protect the players' amateur standing. Chuck?
Okay, Bob, here's Gilliam leading off, and Jim Palmer's first offering is a called strike one. With the very unusual and rather bizarre errors that have occurred in the game, there's a great tendency to overlook the fact that Palmer is pitching a 2-hit shutout. Here's a ground ball bouncing towards second baseman Dave Johnson, a one-handed spear, the throw to first, and that's it for Gilliam. He's retired. Ground ball to second baseman Johnson. Now the batter is Willie Davis, and the applause will drown out the boos. Willie has twice faced Jim Palmer. Both times has gone down swinging. The sportsmanship of this World Series crowd is a magnificent thing to be a part of. Here is Jim Palmer's first pitch to Willie. A strike is called. Now the one-strike pitch. Palmer deals, missed inside with a breaking ball, 1-1. One out and none on. Dodgers batting bottom of the 6th inning. Orioles 4, Dodgers nothing. Palmer's next offering is low, and the count now 2-1. The 2-1 pitch to Davis. Swing and a foul on the screen, and the count is even now at 2-2. Infield is cut around to the first base side against the southpaw swings of Willie. Palmer to the move, 2-2 pitch. Ground ball popped off the first base side. Dave Johnson, the second baseman, grabs, throws on to first, just in time to get Willie Davis. That ball threatened a bad hop right over the head of the Orioles second baseman. He had to make another one-handed stab of the ball and threw him out. 2 up and 2 down.
You know, Chuck, being in the league, naturally the National League, where there is a tremendous amount of great second base play, and observing the play of young Johnson out there, and of course Lefevre for the Dodgers, Johnson appears to have very excellent hands for a youngster. Looks like a real great star at that position for years to come.
Here is Ron Fairley. Swings in a long drive foul down the right field side and out of play, strike one. Bob, that's exactly the case. The Orioles gambled on this youngster and traded away one of the fine second basemen in the American League, Jerry Adair, and put this youngster in there, and he never faltered. One strike. The count to Fairley. He walked and fly to center in 2 previous trips. The pitch. Curve ball. Strike is called. Beautiful looking pitch. Two out, none on. Palmer to the move. Breaking ball just missed. He tried the curve again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Dodger hits off Palmer had been a broken back double by Lou Johnson and a single by Parker. Pitch just inside, 2-2. Peronowski are throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Fairley has stepped out, mopped the brow. Two pitch coming. High, ball 3, full countdown. To the Dodger right fielder, Ron Fairley. And the right-handed pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And the Dodgers are 3 up and 3 down in the last half of the 6th inning. At the end of 6 complete, the score. Baltimore 4, Los Angeles nothing. A
a great new filter cigarette is born. Born with the name Camel. New Camel filters.
New Camel filters, the one born rich.
New Camel filters. This is the one born rich. Rich in taste. With that big Camel head start on flavor. Now that great Camel heritage of real taste comes to you in a great new filter cigarette. No other can compare in flavor. No other can compare in quality to new Camel filters. This is the one you'll want to try.
Try Camel filters, the one born rich.
A Dodger pitching change. Ron Peronowski coming on. We'll tell you more about him and the aspects of the relieving of Koufax under tenuous circumstances in one moment. Right now, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
You've grown up around here. Chances are you take Saratoga Vichy for granted. Well, don't. What you're being so blasé about happens to be one of the most extraordinary natural products in all the world. People send for it from all over, both for its curious taste and for that remarkably long-lived carbonation the Vichy people are always talking about. Saratoga Vichy, the only mixer we know of that people built a city just to be near.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Coming in for his second series appearance, and Chuck, this gives rise now to the fact that Walter Alston is perhaps taking Koufax out of the game, knowing his bullpen is sufficient to do the job he wants done, and pitch him again another day if the series is to go beyond 4. And there are some things that we can talk about from time to time, but this young man standing in here right now, Mr. Palmer, kind of riding tall in that saddle, isn't he?
He certainly is, Bob Prince, and as a hitter this afternoon, Palmer has popped to third and struck out. Now he looks at the left-handed Peronowski, into the move, and the first pitch. Curveball drops in, strike is called. Here's a ball just inside Palmer, up around the letters. Koufax this afternoon went 6 innings, allowed 6 base hits, struck out 2, walked 2, one of those intentional, allowed 1 earned run. Pitch. Little bit low, and the count now, 2-1. Yesterday, we saw Ron Peronowski for the final 2 innings, and he allowed 2 base hits. Didn't walk a batter, didn't strike anybody out, nor did he allow a run. Strike call to Palmer. 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Palmer. Peronowski ready. Here's the pitch. Swing and a ground ball hit right to a third baseman, Gilliam. He gloves it, the throw on to first, and we've got the first out of the inning. And Palmer, hustling every step of the way, made it a little bit closer than we thought it would be. And now here is Aparicio, with 2 hits and 3 trips this afternoon against Koufax. Looking now to Peronowski. Luis has also knocked in 1 of the 4 Oriole runs. Peronowski's pitch, strike call, covered the outer portion around the knees. Aparicio had a leg hit, an infield hit to deep short in the first inning, and a double between Gilliam and the bag at third in the 5th inning. 1 strike pitch counted, inside low, 1-1. The 1-1 offering to Aparicio outside, and Louis ran the hands up the bat as if maybe he had a thought of a bunt. Took it all the way. 2 balls, 1 strike. 1 out and none on. 2-1 pitch to Aparicio. Swing fly ball headed out into shallow left center field. Moving on the ball, Willie Davis. Center fielder sets up under it, and Willie makes the draft for the second out of the inning. I I'm sure I don't have to enlarge or amplify on the great burst of applause that greeted that catch. Brewer and Regan are now throwing in the Dodger bullpen. 2 down and none on. Here is Kurt Bleppery, left-hand swinging left fielder, against Koufax in 3 trips. Fly to center, pop to short, fly to right. Little conversation going on around the plate. It perhaps concerns whether or not Bleppery is in or out of the box. His rear foot is right on the line. First pitch. Good curve is in. Strike call to Bleppery. Dodger outfielder Bleppery kind of spread out, guarding all the exits as if he might hit the ball to any and all fields. Aronofsky deals. He missed low and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball low, and the count 2-1. Well, they say in baseball, always expect the unexpected, but who could expect 5 Dodger errors, 3 in 1 inning by 1 man? Two-one pitch to Bleppery. Swing ground foul, pumped up the first base side, speared by Gene Woodling, Oriole first base coach.
Bob, Chuck, what these batters would do if the game of golf hadn't been invented? They all seem to wear golf gloves now on one of the hands when they go up there to the plate.
It's only been a few years ago that tar-stained towel came into existence, too. Pitch. Swing and a ground foul, dribbling up the first base side. Count holds 2-2. And Woodling, fielding 1,000. Gene, the hitting coach of the Orioles, and he's done a great job, particularly with a lot of the youngsters on the Baltimore club. Gene feels one of the most important things you can teach a young hitter is to learn the strike zone. And the 2-2 pitch to Bleppery. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And the Birds are 3 up and 3 down in their half of the 7th inning at the end of 6 1/2 score. Baltimore 4, Los Angeles nothing.
We asked the nastiest man in the world to ask some nasty questions about our beer. Go ahead, Nasty.
What is all this 8 brewery jazz?
We're trying to get Carling Black Label beer into people's hands while it's still fresh and lively.
Oh, don't con me. Beer's supposed to be old.
Well, that depends on where it gets old. In the aging tanks, good, but in the can or in the bottle, not good. There, well, beer slowly, surely acquires an unbeer-like taste. Brewmasters call this taste bready. People call it flat.
So what do? Drink all your beer before it leaves the brewery?
We brought our breweries closer to the people. This way, Black Label spends less time in warehouses and trucks.
Hey, my brother drives a truck. You got something against trucks?
We love trucks. We love trains. We love boats. We love planes. We just want our beer to spend less time in them. It'll taste better.
Say, when did you guys stop beating your wives?
Falstaff, World Series 6-packs. You know, Chuck Thompson, if the Dodgers are to lose this game, and it's Baltimore 4, Dodgers nothing as we go to the bottom of the 7th, the game is not over, but should they, and then go to Baltimore, trailing by 2 games in the World Series, they'll have a couple of things going that'll hurt them maybe, in that they'll not be familiar with the Baltimore ballpark, but they will, for the better part of them anyhow, be quite familiar with Claude Osteen, who will pitch against them in Game 3.
Very true, Bob. Here's Jim Palmer to the move, and the first pitch coming down to Lefebvre is a called strike 1. And, Bob, the Orioles had more than a little difficulty with Osteen when he was in the American League. Now the 1-strike pitch drives him off the dish to make the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Oriole pitching that has kind of been downgraded for the most part around the country coming into this World Series has now held the Dodgers scoreless for the last 12 innings. Fly ball hit down the left field side, fading. It's going to be a foul ball and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 strikes to Jim the Fever, who struck out against Jim Palmer in the second and bounced to the pitcher in the 4th inning, and the crowd now begins to get in the ball game a little bit. Palmer rocks and throws. Struck him out. Swing and a miss. LeFever goes down. 5 strikeouts for Jim Palmer. He has held the Dodgers scoreless and allowed the 2 hits in 6 1/3 innings. Over the course of the past year, the Dodgers were blanked 17 times. Shut out 17 times. Well, here's Lou Johnson. He doubled into right field in the 2nd inning in a little humpback liner out over the head of second baseman Dave Johnson. Then fly to the center fielder Blair in the 4th. Palmer's first pitch to the right-hander, low outside, ball 1. Palmer's 1-0 pitch. High, ball 2. Quick check of the scorecard shows there have been 17 strikeouts against the Dodgers in the 2 games of the series so far. Palmer ready. Strike call. 2-1 the count now, and I look to the Oriole bullpen, and we see Stu Miller is warming. Now a 2-1 pitch to the right-hand batting, Lou Johnson. Fouled out of play behind the plate. 2-2. Palmer's 2-2 pitch. Ground ball hit sharply toward third baseman Brooks Robinson. Comes up in a chest-high hop. The throw on to first in plenty of time to get Lou. And we've got 2 down, and now Jim Palmer has equaled the brilliance of yesterday's reliever Mo Grabowski in blanking the Dodgers in 6 2/3 innings. Two gone in the last half of the 7th inning, and here is John Roseborough, who has popped to short and flied to center. We're waiting now for Lou Johnson to get back to the Dodger dugout. He breaks into a dead run, headed back into the dugout. The young man pitching for the Orioles this afternoon will not be 21 years old until the 15th of this month. Here's a line drive base hit over the head of the first baseman foul out the right field corner. Roseborough, the first base, will hold there as Frank Robinson fields the ball in right field. And the Dodgers have picked up their 3rd hit. 2 singles and the looping double by Lou Johnson in the 2nd inning. The score again, the Orioles 4 and the Dodgers nothing, with 2 down in the last of the 7th. And now Wes Parker, who was intentionally walked in the 2nd inning to load the bases so that Palmer could pitch to Koufax, and he got Koufax to pop out. Then Parker ripped a single to right field in the 5th inning. Powell does not hold with the runner at first. The pitch, high, ball 1. Palmer ready to go. 1-0 pitch, swing and a foul out of play, and the count evens 1-1. Most pitchers using a stretch with a runner on will, for the most part, bring both hands down to the belt and sometimes below that before they hit the set. That is not the case with the Baltimore right-hander Palmer. His stretch stops right at chin level. Now the pitch. High fly ball, left field side, backing the third baseman Brooks Robinson in foul ground, crossing over Aparicio, but Brooks Robinson in foul ground makes the catch of the pop-up to retire Parker and stop the Dodgers in the bottom of the 7th. No runs, 1 base hit. There were no bird errors, 1 man left on. At the end of 7, score Baltimore 4, Dodgers nothing. Well, I've got a message for the ladies in the audience, so will all you men please tune out for a moment? Okay. Now then, ladies, now that we're alone, I'd like to tell you about a new razor blade. No, it's not for you. It's for your husband. So why am I telling you about it? Well, because it's a chance for you to do something nice for him and for yourself, too. You see, Gillette has come out with an amazing new blade called the Gillette Super Stainless, also known as the Spoiler. It has a miracle plastic coating baked on the edge, a coating that reduces the pull when you shave. That is, when he shaves. And ladies, once a man shaves with this blade, he actually becomes spoiled. So spoiled that he can't go back to his old standard of shaving. Let's face it, ladies. When a man is happy with the shave he gets, he's happy when it comes down to breakfast, too. So if you want to spoil him and do something for yourself, too, go out and get him the Spoiler, alias the Gillette Super Stainless. And okay, guys, you can listen again.
Chuck, it might be interesting, a lot of the fans listening in around the country, just what will the Dodgers be looking at when they come into your ballpark in Baltimore for distances and things like that?
Well, the distances down the foul lines in Baltimore are a good deal shorter than they are here at the Dodger Stadium. It's 309 feet down the right field and the left field lines, and it'll be 410 feet straight away to center field. The fence is not the 9-foot fence that we have here. It's about 7 in Baltimore. And they will be looking at a native Californian by the name of Wally Bunker. Here is Frank Robinson to lead off for the Orioles in the top of the 8th inning of game number 2, with Baltimore leading the Dodgers 4-0. 373 lifetime home runs for this fella that in Baltimore we call Mr. Hit. Now the Dodger bullpen is activated again with Reagan and Moeller. First pitch coming out to Frank. Strike called. Baranowski. Frank this afternoon has flied to left, walked, and then tripled deep in the alley in right center field. And this one splashed in between the center fielder and the right fielder. Pitch. Inside. He steps back off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. And one of the very strange happenings in Oriole baseball this year was a batting tip provided to Frank Robinson by, of all people, rookie second baseman Dave Johnson. Ball outside. At batting practice one night, Dave mentioned he thought that Frank was standing farther back from the plate than he normally did. Frank checked it, and he was right, and went on from there to lead the American League. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. 2-2 to Frank Robinson. And the 2-2 pitch. Inside. Full count now. 3-2 to the Oriole right fielder. With third baseman Brooks Robinson, the on-deck hitter, and Boog Powell waiting around. The left-hander Baranowski brings the arm down. The pitch is a ball 4 low and outside. The second time this afternoon that Frank Robinson has walked. And the first walk, of course, issued by Baranowski. Here is Brooks Robinson. He had 1 hit in yesterday's opening game of the series. It went all the way, a solo home run. And this afternoon, he has fouled to the catcher, reached on an error, and fouled to the third baseman. Pitch is high and outside. Ball 1. Robinson with a pretty good lead at first. Baranowski throws. Strike call. 1-1 now. Here's the 1-1 to Brooks Robinson. Swing and a miss. A ball, 2 strikes. Robinson leading first, and the pitch to Brooks Robinson. Cut on ground ball up the third base side. It's in the hole. Base hit into left field. Frank Robinson down to second base, and he will hold there on Brooks Robinson's slashing ground single between short and third. So the Orioles, in the top of the eighth inning, have their leadoff hitters reach. A walk to Frank Robinson, a single by Brooks Robinson, and up to the plate now, Boog Powell. And against Sandy Koufax this afternoon, Boog Powell had 2 hits in 3 trips. Now he faces Paranowski. Here's a bunt off the third base side of the mound, making the pick up the pitcher. No play at third base, no play at second. Throw on to first in time to get the sacrificing Boog Powell. Frank Robinson races to third. Brooks to second on the sacrifice bunt off the bat of Boog Powell. One down. Boog Powell, the big man, has sacrificed Frank and Brooks Robinson to second and third. And now here is Dave Johnson, who has popped to second, fouled to the catcher, and singled to right field. And the Dodger infield up very tight off the first base side and a couple of steps back off the third base side. Paranowski ready to go. Pitch. Strike call. Stu Miller is throwing in the Oriole bullpen along with knuckleballing Eddie Fisher. Dave Johnson is backed out, calling time briefly. And now the Orioles second baseman is in and ready. 1 strike pitch coming. Swing ground ball right off the pitcher's leg. Caroms off the first base side of the infield. Frank Robinson is going to score. Throw to first base is wild. Gets by Parker into the dugout. And here is Brooks Robinson coming home. And on into second base goes Dave Johnson. A ground shot off the shin of pitcher Paranowski. Caromed off the first base side of the infield. Paranowski ran it down and then threw it away by the first baseman. The Oriole dugout, and we have 2 more Bird errors and, 2 more Bird runs and another Dodger error, and that will tie the record. And on his way to the mound now comes Walter Alston. Frank Robinson has checked in with run number 5. Brooks Robinson with run number 6. That run will score on the error charged to the pitcher. Dave Johnson will pick up a run batted in on the base hit, scoring Frank Robinson from third base. Dave also will take second base on the throwing error charged to Paranowski. Alston is on the mound with Roseborough and Paranowski, and we're going to have a pitching change right now for the Dodgers.
Number 27.
And it's going to be Phil Regan, and while he's on his way to the mound, here's a word from Bob Prince.
Well, I'll tell you something. Big league baseball clubs are good citizens in their communities. In the summer just past, benefit games played by major league clubs raised $628,000 for worthy causes. Most of the money went to provide healthful, wholesome recreation for young people in overcrowded urban areas. But many other fine projects, like Boston's famed Jimmy Fund, which leads the worldwide crusade against children's leukemia, were helped too. It is significant, and certainly many words will be spoken, many words will be printed, and things said about a Dodger ball club that just literally scrambled and crawled its way into this World Series by virtually, other than their great pitching, taking advantage of your mistake. And when you made the mistake, pouring through for the runs, that gave them the victories. And in today's ball game, unheard of, unbelievable. No question about it, but there for all to see, Chuck Thompson. 6 Dodger errors, and another one could have easily been assigned had they wanted to.
And, of course, the unhappy news for Dodger fans is this 6-error ball game, which is a stunning thing, I'm sure, and proved a lot too much for even the superb Sandy Koufax and for the Dodgers so far this afternoon. And it also will tie another World Series record for the most errors in a single 9-inning game by any one team, 6 by the L.A. Dodgers. On the mound, Phil Regan, won 14 and lost 1 with an ERA of 1.62 over the year. And the Orioles are a bit familiar with Reagan, who has been even greater than brilliant since joining the Dodgers. The last time 6 errors occurred in a World Series game, it involved the Chicago White Sox and the New York Giants in October of 1917. Bob, I'm sure you didn't see that one.
No, I really didn't. I don't think you did either. But Jim Simpson might have.
I'm thinking back to through the Orioles season, and I can recall the night when the Orioles came up with 5 errors in the ball game too. They are a part of the game of baseball, but to occur in the rapid-fire order in which they did this afternoon with 3 Dodger errors in the 5th inning was a bizarre and startling happening. Here now is Paul Blair, right-hand hitting Orioles center fielder, against the right-hander Phil Regan. On at second base, Dave Johnson. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Blair is lined to right field. He reached on one of the errors charged to Willie Davis in the 5th inning, and then was intentionally walked in the 6th inning. 1 strike pitch to Blair. Reagan's pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. 2 strikes to Blair. Well, in 7 games in the 1965 World Series, the Dodgers made a total of 6 errors. Here in 1 game, they've equaled it. 2 strike pitch to Blair. Reagan throws. Fly ball hit out into shallow or off the third base side. Coming up on the ball is a shortstop Wills. He's under it and makes the catch for the second out of the inning. A little bit of a pop-up to shortstop Maury Wills.
Chuck, you and I were talking yesterday, having worked the 1960 World Series together, the Pirates and the Yankees, and what had to be one of the wackiest of all World Series that's ever been played. But while the scores are nowhere near like that here, this is giving some evidence of being a little bizarre.
Here is Andy Etchebarren. Looked at the third strike, reached on the error in the 5th inning, and then hit into the double play in the 6th. Dave Johnson at second base, 2 down. Pitch to Etchebarren, swing and a foul ball. This one, Nick Grosvenor on the right hand. We hope it's a glancing blow. And he's now going to massage that hand just a little bit. And if he needed a little sympathy, he's got the right fellow at the plate in the person of Etchebarren. Right now, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
Your radio has not gone cuckoo. That's merely the sound of Saratoga Vichy and its long-lasting fizz. The story behind that fizz is even stranger than the sound. You see, nature carbonates Saratoga Vichy, giving it a perky little fizz with incredible staying power. It keeps drinks fresh far longer than club soda or any of the imitation Vichy's. Saratoga, the authentic Vichy in the yellow label.
WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Two down. Orioles 6, Dodgers nothing in the top of the 8th inning. And the 1-1 coming to Etchebarren. Reagan fires, swing and a miss, strike 2, 1-2. Reagan looking down to Roseboro for the sign. And the Dodger reliever delivers. Missed, blown away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Birds remember Regan when he wore the uniform of the Detroit Tigers. And the pitch. Wide of the mark. Full count now, 3-2. Well, the underdog Baltimore Orioles invaded Dodger Stadium, beat the Dodgers 5-2 in the first game, and lead them 6-0 in the top of the 8th in game number 2. Here's a ball just a little bit high. And Etchebarren walks. The second walk of the inning, and the first one charged to Reagan. And getting a well-deserved hand is Jim Palmer. Here's a young man who was faced with the task of pitching against Sandy Koufax today. I asked Palmer if he had met Sandy. He said, no, I just met him a moment ago. He watched Koufax pitch in the Coliseum when the Dodgers played there. First pitch to Palmer, wide of the plate ball, and he gets right on by Roseborough, back to the screen, and both runners move up a notch. Low outside and got by Roseborough all the way to the screen, and it's ruled a wild pitch charged to Reagan, and that advances Dave Johnson to third base and Andy Etchebarren to second base. Well, strange other happenings in Dodger Stadium this afternoon. But for the Oriole fans around the country, I would imagine they'd say beautiful, just beautiful. Now the 1-0 pitch to Palmer. 2 out. Reagan throws. Swing and a foul tip held on to by Roseborough. A ball and a strike. Reagan to the line. And the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2, and you'd have to say that Reagan had Palmer a little bit fooled on that one. The pitch, strike 3 is called. Palmer is called out of strikes, but the Orioles of Baltimore pick up 2 more runs on the same number of base hits, plus another Dodger error, their 6th of the game to tie a World Series record, and 2 men are left. At the end of 7.5 innings of play, the score is Baltimore 6, Los Angeles nothing.
Plymouth is out to win you over this year. Plymouth is out to win you over this year. Follow your heart to your Plymouth dealer today.
Hi, Edie Gourmet here, wondering what you're doing there when you should be test driving Plymouth's all-new 67 Valiant. Economy never looked so luxurious. See your Plymouth dealer. He's all heart.
Plymouth is out to win you over this year. Follow your heart to your Plymouth dealer today.
The all-new 67 Valiant is now on display at your Plymouth dealers. He'll do most anything to get you and a new Valiant together today. Well, the Dodger pitcher is scheduled to lead off in the last half of the 8th inning. It'll not be the pitcher. It'll be Tommy Davis. Tommy Davis was 0 for 3 in the opener yesterday. And the Dodgers have now been held scoreless in the last 13 innings of the first 2 series games. Tommy Davis. On the mound, the tall, slender, right-handed Jim Palmer of Baltimore. And Palmer's first pitch to Davis. Too low on a ball. Pitch is a strike called by plate umpire Nestor Shylock. Now Palmer readies the 1-1 offering to the pinch hitter, Tommy Davis. Swing fly ball headed toward the alley right center field. Frank Robinson going hard to the right is there to cut it off on the first hop, and Davis delivers as a pinch hitter with a line single toward right center. Brings in Maury Wells. The 4th Dodger hit of the game. Line single in the alley at right center off the bat of Tommy Davis. Here is Wells, 0 for 3 in this game number 2, with a bounce out to the mound and twice rolled to the second baseman, Davy Johnson. The Oriole infield now shortens up a couple of steps. to Maury Wills. Palmer sets and throws. Here's a pop-up foul outside of third, chasing toward the Dodger dugout. Brooks Robinson can't get to it, out of play. Strike one to Wills. Strike pitch coming to Wills. He takes a strike two call and short enough on the bat to look at it all the way. Tommy Davis opened the inning with a pinch single to right. Powell does not hold with him at first base. The set by Palmer, the two-strike pitch, swing and a foul right at the plate. Good breaking stuff from Jim Palmer. At one time this year put together a streak of 4 consecutive victories, and it just so happened that he had pancakes for breakfast that day and went on to win. So he kept doing that every time he pitched, and the ball players every now and then call him Cakes. Two-strike pitch coming to Wills. Foul ball to sit on the netting behind the plate. Matter of fact, his very lovely young bride, Susie, would call Jim Palmer on the road and remind him when it's his turn to pitch to be sure and have those pancakes. The two-strike pitch, low for a ball. And I will now add, yes, he had pancakes this morning. One and two, the count to Maury Wills. Palmer's ready. The pitch. Popped up foul. It may be out of play. Will be off the third base side. Count holding. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dodgers facing Jim Palmer in the last half of the 8th inning. With the Orioles 6 and the Dodgers nothing. Palmer throws. Ground ball down the third base side is just foul, just outside that bag. Waiting now for Tommy Davis to retreat to first. Oriole catcher Etchebarren takes to the mound for a quick word with Jim Palmer. In the Oriole bullpen, a fellow the Orioles refer to as the Bullet, Stu Miller, is pitching. Is warming, I should say. Now the 1-2 pitch. Coming down to Maury Wills. Palmer throws just low. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Wills. Bob?
Are you trying to say that he changes on a change?
I guess it was Joe Garagiola who said he gives you that Wells Fargo pitch. It comes up there in easy stages. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Wills. Palmer ready. Here's the pitch. High pop-up. Back of second base. Back goes second baseman Davy Johnson. Davy Johnson staying with it, and he makes the catch. Aparicio calling the shot every step of the way. Protected Davy from collision with Blair, center fielder, and right fielder Frank Robinson coming over. 1 down. Wills is popped to the second baseman Dave Johnson.
I never saw him pitch in your league, Chuck, but in our league when he was with us, I saw more batters strike out at his head before he ever let go of the ball, and I did see Billy White take 2 swings at the pitch one time, which of course is illegal. Now, I don't know how you fellas did it over in the junior league.
Well, they say in our league that if he gets a stiff neck, he can't pitch. Here now is Junior Gilliam, or Jim Gilliam, rather, 0 for 3 this afternoon. Palmer throws, swinging a high fly ball down the right field side, fading foul and out of play. Souvenir coming up for some lucky fan. Strike 1 to Gilliam. He's popped to short, grounded to short, and rolled out to the second baseman. The 1-strike pitch. Palmer ready. Here it is. Curved him, but it misses low inside. Pops away from Etchebarren on his way to second base Davis, and he pulls in without attracting a throw. This one was in the dirt. It caromed up his leg into the air, and Etchebarren retreated and made a quick grab and realized he could throw it away if he cut loose the throw to second, so he held on, and the ruling is a wild pitch charged to Jim Palmer. A wild pitch. Pinch hitter Davis now at second with 1 out. 1 ball, 1 strike to Gilliam. great old pros, Jim Gilliam. Palmer ready, the 1-1 pitch. High foul out of play behind the plate. With a 1-ball, 2-strike pitch to Gilliam. Curve hit in the air off into shallow left field. Back goes the shortstop of the third baseman. Brooks Robinson's calling for it. Gives away to Aparicio, who makes the catch, a step and foul ground to retire Gilliam. A fine running catch by Baltimore shortstop Aparicio. We have 2 gone in the bottom of the 8th. And here now is the unfortunate Willie Davis. And as a hitter this afternoon, Willie is 0 for 3. The attendance at the Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles this afternoon, another new record, 55,947, exceeding yesterday's crowd by a half a dozen. Tommy Davis at second, Willie Davis at the plate and the pitch. Fly ball well hit deep in right center. Paul Blair going to the glove side. The Orioles center fielder now coming up with the ball is there and makes the grab in the alley in right center to retire Willie Davis and the Dodgers in their half of the 8th inning. No runs, 1 base hit. There were no Oriole errors and a man left on. At the end of 8 complete, the score, Baltimore 6, Los Angeles nothing.
A great new filter cigarette is born. Born with the name Camel. New Camel filters.
New Camel filters, the one born rich.
New Camel filters. This is the one born rich. Rich in taste, with that big Camel head start on flavor. Now that great Camel heritage of real taste comes to you in a great new filter cigarette. No other can compare in flavor. No other can compare in quality to new Camel filters. This is the one you want to try.
Try Camel filters, the one born rich.
The Orioles will come to bat with the top of the order, Aparicio, Kurt Leffery, and Frank Robinson in that order against a new Dodger hurler, Brewer. Reagan in relief, Peronowski went 2/3 of an inning without a base hit. He did walk the batter, did not allow a run, and now gives away to Brewer. Jim Brewer warmed yesterday, but did not see service in the opening game. Lives in a town in Oklahoma called Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. 0-2 with the Dodgers this year. Southpaw Jim Brewer. Aparicio, who will lead off, is 2 for 4 this afternoon. And credited with a run batted in. And the Orioles and the Dodgers go to inning number 9 of game number 2, with Baltimore leading the Dodgers 6-0.
Luis Aparicio.
Aparicio waiting. Brewer now looks down to the plate to pick up a sign from Roseboro. He's ready, and here's his first pitch. Hit in the air out toward shallow right center, backpedaling to second baseman Lefebvre, shading his eyes with a glove. He makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Aparicio retires on the pop to second baseman Lefebvre. Batter now, Kurt Leffery. Collared in 4 trips this afternoon, 1 for 3 in yesterday's opening game of the series. And Leffery would like plate umpire Shylock to look at the baseball. And Jim Brewer, who tossed it into Shylock, did not throw the accustomed rainbow toss. He just whipped it in there. Shylock one-handed it and gave Brewer that well-known look. Here's Bleffery. The southpaw Brewer pitches. High, ball one. Here's a high foul hit out of play behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike to Kurt Bleffery. Right back, here's a check swing and apparently a foul tip. Hold on a minute. It nicked the bat of Bleffery in the dirt at the plate, and the count of ball and 2 strikes. Bleffery started a swing and managed to stop it and turned the body and took the pitch inside for a ball. 2-2 is the count. Brewer rocks and throws. Blown away. Full count to Bleffery. 1 out, none on. Top of the 9th inning. Baltimore 6, Dodgers nothing. Full count. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Bleffery goes down. 2 away on the top of the 9th inning. And here now comes Frank Robinson, who's been to the plate 4 times this afternoon and reached base 3 times. Twice via the walk. Once with a booming triple in the alley in right center. He has scored 2 of the Orioles' 6 runs, is Frank. First offering to Frank. Missed outside and low, ball 1. And the pitch. Too low. 2-0 to Frank Robinson. The 2-0 pitch. Swing ground ball hopping toward the charging shortstop Wills. He gloves it. The throw on to first is in time to get Frank Robinson, and the Orioles are 3 up and 3 down to the top of the 9th inning at the end of 8 1/2. The score, Baltimore 6, Los Angeles nothing.
Hi, I'm from Carling. Wow, do you have a lot of flagpoles?
I have a lot of flags, that's why. Flags is my life.
I see. Well, did you finish ours?
Why, sure. That's yours. The red stripe one up there next to the polka dot. Here, I'll bring it down so as you can get a better look. Now, this wide red stripe here stands for your original Carling Black Label Brewery. And up here, in the corner, these 8 little black stars stand for the 8 nearby Black Label breweries you have now.
Well, you can't really call that a stripe.
I can just see it. That one big wide red stripe, all them stars flying high above your brewery.
But that's no stripe. It's as wide as the flag. The whole flag is red from top to bottom.
If I say it's a stripe, it's a stripe.
Well, then you'd have to say our Carling Black Label can is a striped can, even though it's red all over, because...
Listen, Sonny, you stick to making the beer, and I'll stick to making the flags.
Here's the last half of the 9th inning at the Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. And for the Dodgers, it'll be Ron Fairley to lead off against Baltimore's Jim Palmer, who has blanked the Dodgers through 8, and Oriole pitching has blanked Los Angeles through 14 innings of the first 2 games of the 1966 Classic. Here is Ron Fairley, who walked wide to center and struck out in 3 turns this afternoon. Strike 1 to Fairley. Ball too high to Ron. 1-1. Stu Miller is beginning to ease back in the Oriole bullpen, and he'll begin to lob the ball again. Now the 1-1 pitch to Fairley. Swing and a miss. Strike 2, a ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 offering just missed outside, 2-2. Inside. Full count now. 3-2. The leadoff hitter, Ron Fairley, in the bottom of the ninth. Palmer rocks and throws. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That will be the 5th strikeout of the contest for Jim Palmer. Check that, make it number 6. Number 5 was Lefevre in the 7th inning, and here now is Lefevre in the bottom of the ninth. In the 2 games of the series so far, 18 Dodgers have gone down on strikes. Ball 1 is too high to Lefevre. Jim is 0 for 3. Fan twice. Bounce to the pitcher. Swing and a miss. 1-1 to Lefevre. Wasting any time. The big right-hander brings the arm down, deals a curve, and a strike is called. A ball and 2 strikes to Lefevre. 1 out and none out in the bottom of the ninth. Baltimore 6, the Dodgers nothing. And the 1-2 pitch. Palmer throws. Curved him. It's in the dirt for a ball. 2-2. Palmer's 2-2 pitch. Check swing, pop foul. It's going to be out of play off the third base side, and the count will hold. Quiet is the word for Dodger Stadium. And the 2-2. High. 3-2. Well, Palmer took Fairley 3-2 a moment ago and got him on strike. Now Lefevre's got him 3 balls, 2 strikes, with 1 out and none out. Here's the payoff. Ball 4 is inside, and Lefevre reaches with a base on ball. And now the ballpark comes to life. Here is Lou Johnson. This hustling ball player has 1 of the 4 Dodger hits this afternoon, a double in the second. Since then, he slid to center and grounded to third. Powell signing to Jim Palmer that he's not going to hold with the base runner Lefevre. Just backed off the bag a couple of steps. Palmer ready to go. First pitch to Johnson. Too high on the ball. With that pitch, pitching coach Harry Brackeen of the Orioles comes off the bench and stands up and signs to Aparicio at shortstop, and Louie goes in to join the big fella, Jim Palmer. Aparicio has served in this capacity all year for Baltimore, more or less the captain of the infield, and he's done a magnificent job. Now the 1-0 pitch coming to Lou Johnson. Palmer deals. High inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Two-0 pitch coming to Johnson. Palmer throws. Strike is called by Shonak. Chris Pellicudis, the umpire at first base. At second base, John Rice. Third base, Mel Steiner. Now the 2-1 offering to Johnson. Palmer throws, swinging a high fly ball, hit deep in the alley, left center field. Blefary going to the glove side, waiting. Paul Blair is over there. It's Blefary, the left fielder, who makes the catch. rather deep in left field to retire Johnson for the second out in the last half of the ninth inning. And now here is John Roseborough. I'm sure you can hear that bugle in the background, and it's self-explanatory. He's been serenading all afternoon. Well, let's watch Roseborough. The pitch is high, very high on the ball one. Palmer's struggling just a little bit, but in his first World Series game, Jim Palmer has blanked the Dodgers for 8 2/3. Spaced 4 hits, never more than 1 in an inning. The pitch, low inside, ball 2. Manager Bauer has joined pitching coach Harry Burkeen on the steps of the Oriole dugout, watching Palmer very carefully. His 2-0 pitch is a ball 3 inside. And now Etchebarren trots the ball back to the mound. Two down in the bottom of the ninth. Dodger runner at first, Lefevre. A count of 3 balls and no strikes to John Roseborough, who has popped a short fly to center and singled to right field. Palmer is ready to pitch. Right down the groove, and the strike is called, and Roseborough was naturally taking all the way. Now the 3-1 pitch. Palmer's ready. Here it is. High fly ball hit out of the shallow center. Backpedaling to shortstop. Aparicio calling for it. Aparicio waiting. He's got it. And that's it. Jim Palmer has become the youngest pitcher to pitch a shutout in World Series history. The youngest pitcher to pitch a shutout in World Series history here in the ninth inning. The totals for the Dodgers: no runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left on. And that's it. In game number 2 of the 1966 World Series, the Baltimore Orioles have defeated the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-0. And Bob, I sure love to watch those birds work around that infield.
I got an idea, Chuck. You're trying to tell me something.
Well, they're a lot like Gillette Foamy.
Oh, I knew it.
I mean, work a little foamy around your beard, and good things happen every time you shave. Take Smooth Shaving Comfort, Foamy trademark. That's because that rich, creamy, foamy lather keeps your beard soft and moist all through your shave. Nobody makes a lather like Foamy. So moist, so rich, so creamy.
Nobody makes a lather like Gillette.
I think you got it.
I think I'll get it. Foamy by Gillette.
But don't stop there. Remember the Right Guard. It's the runaway favorite with men and families everywhere.
As they say, Gillette Right Guard is the perfect personal deodorant for everybody. Nothing touches you but the spray itself. 2 seconds gives 24-hour protection.
And that famous Right Guard protection lasts far longer than 24 hours with regular use, right?
Right you are, Chuck Thompson. Everybody out for Gillette Right Guard. So effective, it's the world's best-selling deodorant. I'd like to remind you, this broadcast was authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Commissioner of Baseball solely for the entertainment of our listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or the other use of the description and accounts of this game without the express consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Now, Chuck Thompson and I will be back out here for a very brief little get-together with you on a summary of this ball game. And we'll be out, as we say, right after this word from Joe Garagiola.
This is Joe Garagiola. Your Chrysler Plymouth dealer has a free gift for you. It's called the Joe Garagiola World Series Fun and Facts Scorebook. There are some facts in it, but the emphasis is on fun. You can find out who hit the most doubles in a World Series game, but you can also find out the kind of things that fascinate a guy like me. For instance, who was the pennant-winning pitcher who told the press on the eve of the World Series, the other team will win it? Or, for instance, how a simple, innocent question can get a catcher thrown out of a ball game. There are score sheets in the book, too, for those who know how to keep score. And for those who don't, there's a simple, really simple explanation of how to score. Stop in at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer today and pick up your free copy of the Joe Garagiola World Series scorebook. It's all part of customer care and exclusive at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer, which means he cares as much about you as he does about your car.
Well, Chuck Thompson, as you said, young Palmer now becomes the youngest pitcher to ever shut out a team in the World Series competition. He's just a year and 9 days away from his number on his back, which is 22, because he's not 21 yet. He won't get there till the 15th of October. The boy pitched a magnificent ball game, and as alluded to before, the supposedly underrated Baltimore pitching staff has thrown nothing but goose eggs at the Dodgers in the first two games.
For 2 months of the past American League campaign, the Dodgers were the finest, or rather the Orioles were the finest looking baseball club American League baseball men had seen for many years. It is Hank Bauer's wish and the Orioles wish that they can prove that again here in this World Series. They certainly performed in great fashion today with a 6-0 shutout. The totals read for Baltimore: 6 runs, 8 hits, no errors, 6 men left. For the Dodgers, no runs, 4 base hits, 6 errors, tying a World Series record, 7 men left on. The Dodgers will come into Baltimore's Memorial Stadium looking for their first run after being shut out for 15 consecutive innings.
Yes, and the Dodgers' supposedly impenetrable infield is the one that didn't hurt him so much today as their outfield. And poor Willie Davis, from making 3 errors in 1 inning, tied a record that he set a record that he wishes that he didn't have to ever look at again. There's no question about that. And the Dodgers, as Chuck told you, in Baltimore will be looking for their very first run after being shut out. And Palmer, the youngest pitcher, that's a record. Willie Davis sets a record for 3 errors in 1 inning. And that's as many as they scored all in one 7-game World Series. And now here's young Palmer, the youngest pitcher ever to pitch a shutout. Wade Hoyt of the Yankees did it in 1921. So we'll just be pulling out of here now. We want to say thanks to our NBC engineer, Bob Jensen, and our NBC producer, Hal Ashby. And a deep bow, too, from Chuck and me to Jimmy Simpson of NBC for his invaluable aid. This will wrap up the second game of the 1966 World Series. Be with us again on Saturday, October the 8th, 12:45 Eastern Daylight Savings Time, for the third game of the World Series, when your host again will be
Chrysler Corporation, makers of Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, Imperial, and Dodge trucks. Gillette Foamy, so moist, so rich, so creamy. Camel Filters, the filter cigarette that was born rich. And Carling Black Label. Why not enjoy one right now?
The final score again, here in the second game of the series. Baltimore 6, the Los Angeles Dodgers nothing. Speaking now for Chuck Thompson, this is Bob Prince saying thanks for being with us. This has been an NBC Radio Network production.
This is the NBC Radio Network.